That's usually how it works out. For some reason. For some reason.
This conference will now be recorded.
We'll begin with the flag salute.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we welcome everybody to the May 1st Marion County Commission meeting, start of a new month. We'll start off with public forum. Any public comments?
We don't have any public online.
Okay, and no public in the room, so we'll move into agenda approval. Any additions or changes? Commissioners on the agenda? If not, we will stand approved on the agenda, and if we need to adjust, we can. Before we start with administrative business, I do want to thank the clerk's office and Kim Ross for helping with the employee appreciation. I think that was a really well-received event. I appreciate all the commissioners and all the employees being a part of it. We really do appreciate our employees, and it was a good chance for some fellowship, and I think it was a very, very good, well-received event. But the special thank you to everyone that helped prepare it. Even though it was an appreciation, we still helped with the event. So with that,
Thank you for doing it. I think that people appreciate it.
Good.
On that line, I sent a special thank you to my former supervisor for the use of the grill and stuff like that.
Appreciate that. Yep, that was a critical
And the
part.
guys from the Marion County Commission.
Thank you.
That and the Christmas party, or maybe sometimes the only time we get a chance to see her, say
Yes.
hi to some of the employees.
Yeah.
But that actually makes a good balance. We get to do barbecue late spring and a Christmas event. If we can continue doing those, that's a great opportunity.
There was a suggestion about a fall event too.
I think I'm thinking of that, but maybe it's thrown into a Sloppy Joe or something like that, where we've got the cookers now, where we could all be in a cooker and do it again sometime, so, and change around, change it up a little bit.
All right. We'll see.
Somebody requested steak, so one of the employees.
I said,
You got the
I said,
cooker
I
for
said
that.
we could have the chili deal out at the lake, and then each one of us could, put an entry in.
Oh, there you go. Lots of ideas. What a great. Let's move into administrative.
Okay, I have the minutes from April 24th. We have two sets, one for the special meeting. Oh, what's the
Fence
fence
viewing.
viewing? Oh my gosh,
Yep.
we've had so many meetings. My brain.
Yep, fence viewing.
And then the regular meeting.
Very good. Commission has had a chance to review.
Motion to approve April 24th, all the minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Gary, second by Commissioner Becker to approve both sets of minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Is that maybe gonna be under administrative down there, or are we still on the, is that under the lawyer maybe for, oh, probably under the lawyer for,
Fence?
for what? Cause see, right now, there's nothing in the minutes, except that we moved it to, is that Brad that was supposed to take care of it?
Yes, Brad will have a resolution to present.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be under his presentation.
Good.
Yep, yep. It is on, good point, it is on the agenda.
Yep.
Under counselor's items.
Yeah, I just tried to keep it on the agenda.
Yep, very good.
Okay. We don't have any change orders today. We do have the salary sheet somewhere in my stack. There we go.
All right, this is a change from administrative specialist in the treasurer's office to aging benefits program director. Be for Lou Turk. Changes from $2,647 per month to $3,794 per month. We welcome Lou's with excitement her ability to take over the aging department. And retirement for Gayla was last week.
Yep.
We appreciate all the years of service that Gayla has given Marion County.
Okay, this was not in your packet, but we do have budgeted transfers. And I'll be happy to pass around the relevant portions of the budget if anybody wants to review those or make sure, or, you know, look them over. But there are 3 transfers. One is from Road and Bridge to the Special Equipment Fund. And then there are 2 transfers. One is from Road and Bridge Sales Tax to Capital Improvement, and the other one is road maintenance, the mill levy that we levy in the general fund to capital improvement. And so the second sheet is all general funds going into capital improvement. So I'll let you have that. Yeah, that's just the packet of, you know, documentation behind there. I didn't make a copy for everyone, it's just a.
Any questions for Tina on the transfers?
Not all budgeted.
Yeah,
All
they are.
mentioned, yeah.
It's just, we do these in three separate transfers each
Right.
year to fund the full amount of budget, and this is the first one for this year.
Then I would move to approve the transfer from Road and Bridge to Special Equipment in the amount of $116,666.67.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Different.
Oh.
It's okay.
I guess I need to spread the word in the office to do them in table order.
No, normally I'm at the bottom because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, or just.
Or
Chair.
Well, there's multiple ways.
We usually try to do it in district order, but these are just kind of random.
That's right.
It's long.
We just make you pay attention.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to do it in seniority order.
Not that pretty order, nothing.
Oh, goodness.
Keep changing it. Keep us on our toes.
Table order works good.
So wait for one last signature.
And you might remember on that 7 mil, that line that we do 7 mils in the general fund, used to that would all go into capital improvement, but now that we have the bond issue, we reduced that transfer that goes to capital improvement, and the rest of it goes to the bond and interest fund to pay the bond. So,
Any questions on that?
So, not right now.
Okay. Now I move that we transfer the following budgeted amounts from county general, road and bridge sales tax to capital improvement fund, $112,492. Road maintenance and improvement, 7 mil, to capital improvement fund, $178, $178,583.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing. Discussion? Questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0.
We'll let Janine work a little bit. We'll let her do this for a while then. I mean, we show her how she's working and stuff.
Thank you, Dave. Dave, I can see
Okay.
The good one to learn on.
they were bad.
Capital bond, 25% copy.
Yeah, that's nice paper.
I'm still soaking that in.
Uh-huh.
The 7 mills comes up to about $982,191 on this piece of paper here.
Right.
So, what is our payment then, 500,000 a year?
No, it's more than that, I believe. I'd have to look, I didn't bring that page of the budget with me. But
Okay.
It's up here.
it's 600 and something.
A year?
Yeah,
Somewhere, bond, where's bond?
So-
I don't know.
650,000.
Yeah, 650.
So, what I'm getting at then is, what's that? It's gonna definitely take effect to where that money was going for us to use.
Right, that's, the bond proceeds came in for that.
Correct. But
Yep.
I'm just saying that you can't, you better start counting on less.
Right.
I mean, still have it in there, but it's gonna be less money going to that account.
Yep.
And,
Plus, you know what a bond issue would cost you now.
oh,
Yeah,
That's double.
yeah, the time to do it.
I
was the time
guarantee it's
we
not
did it.
2%.
Yeah, it was the right time.
More like six or seven.
But that is something that you'll need to look at this year on, when you're doing your budget, to
Yes.
see what you wanna do and how much you need to put in there, so,
Right.
just for the first year, you funded that payment from
Okay.
the existing transfer.
Okay.
But you're right, it will have to shift. You'll have to figure out how you wanna split that, or
Right.
if you're going to just, use levied funds for the bond payment in full this next year, so.
There's always rainy days out there that things happen.
Okay. Another item that just came up this morning, we have the Last Chance Bait Shop. They had applied for their cereal malt beverage license, which was approved, and then now they have to reapply. They had a mismatch on the EIN that was used, or the tax ID that was used versus the owner's name, and then now the husband has actually passed away. So we have a new application, even though we've just done this process recently. And so what I have here is just the notice to Township Board, which is the first step in the approval process of a cereal malt beverage license. So the board needs to take action to send the notice to Township Board about the bait shop. And then they have 10 days after the approval of this to protest if they want to. And then we would come back after that time period expires, and that's when you do the actual approval of the license itself.
I would move to approve notice to Township Board for a cereal malt beverage application retail. It's in Township of Gale.
Yeah.
For Last Chance.
For Last Chance Bait, sorry. I knew I was
Second.
missing something. Okay, a motion and then a second by Commissioner Gehring. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion
So do they operate under the same license they're under now until it gets approved? Or,
Well, they do have a valid license, or
Yeah.
at least they did. I mean, it's under her name, but it's got his
Yeah,
ID number, so
Oh.
that's,
so they can legally still sell until it gets approved?
I think so. It's just kind of an administrative thing, but that is the way that when we checked the application, that's the way it did come through, so. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out so that they can get this in the mail today.
Great.
And then I've got one more item.
Okay.
for business.
Top drawer.
While Tina's taking care of that, do we have any update on planning commission member appointment in District 3?
It's working. I was with one yesterday, and I think we should see, they should come in for an application. And as soon as that happens, it can move something.
Very good.
I give them until next Sunday to give me a definite answer.
Okay.
This must be tough for qualifications.
Well, just like to know what we got.
Very good. Okay, and your next item?
Okay, the next item was in your packet is a potential list of consultants to send the RFP to today. And I wanted to get your approval on that list before we move forward. We also have advertised it in the newspapers, and we are posting it on our website.
I move to approve the invitation RFP list.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Garing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay.
And just to clarify, that's the list of contacts in addition to the advertising.
Yes. Some of those were known contacts and some of them were just through online searches.
Very good.
Okay, and then in your packet you had a proposal from GSI Engineering, and this is to perform the monitoring at the Murray County landfill site for the water wells.
Is that per year?
Yes.
20, let's see.
22.
It's quite a bit more than we were paying,
Well, that's what I was thinking.
but I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah. Yeah. But we're looking, when we started that, it was 30-some years before it would drop off.
Right. So there's still a few years to go.
Yeah. I
And
don't
this
know.
is a 1 year, so one sampling a year is all we're required to do now from KDHE. So that's what this covers.
Any other questions?
You might have noticed in here that the signature line said Riley County.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask you.
But I have,
If this-
that's corrected on this version that I have
Okay.
here.
Very good. If there's not, I move to approve the proposal from GSI Engineering for the landfill testing.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Garing. Questions or discussion?
I guess they would be an approved company. Does the state have to approve them?
I don't,
Well, I guess I shouldn't say.
It's worth asking, Ken, because,
they're doing this for other landfills, so I.
I'm assuming that they
Yeah.
are, but
I
Didn't
guess.
follow up to find out any
Yeah.
specific requirements.
just, yeah.
It'd be a good idea for a follow-up question.
Yeah, just to ask, I mean.
That's a good point. But since Riley County is on the list, I'm going to guess that it is. But it doesn't hurt to check. It's a good policy. Okay, any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, who was the second on that?
Commissioner Garing.
Okay. Do you want to do that approval pending verification from KDNG, or are you comfortable with submitting it, and then do I need to look for a list of approved?
Well, is that something that needs to be in the file?
Oh, you mean whether they are qualified?
An approved contractor?
Approved company?
I mean, we're assuming they are because it's in Riley County.
Well, I know Jack had to meet all state regulations and had to work with the state on it. That's why I'd say that it is a good question to answer, Kim.
And if it's
It
our,
says in the scope of services, it says all sampling procedures will follow standard industrial practice and GSI standard operating procedures. GSI will use PACE Laboratories, a Kansas certified laboratory for all analytical services.
and that's the same lab we were using before, and
Okay.
this person was directly recommended by Jack Chappelle
Jack.
as a continuation, and so I'm fairly certain that he would not recommend someone
I
that
feel
wasn't.
pretty safe.
Yeah, but I can still follow up. I just want to make sure this approval isn't contingent upon that, or if I can just.
Go ahead and follow up. I guess if they're not, then we'll have to make some decisions.
Okay, so we're okay to sign?
Yeah. I don't know if Jack would recommend somebody that was.
No.
But been strangers like that.
Okay.
All right, I believe that is all I have for administrative.
All right. Rebecca? Thank you for making the long trip from your office.
You never know what kind of traffic is gonna happen on election day.
That is true. Be sure to pull up the microphone close. It's very difficult for those online to hear.
I didn't get this one moved. We use this room for.
Thank you.
I'd like to request an executive session for non-elected personnel, or have one of you request that.
Yep. 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
I would probably be stretching it.
Okay, let's do 5. I move that we
You'd be
recess.
stretching it.
We're stretching it which way?
Oh, okay.
It's probably not going to take that
Oh,
long.
okay,
Oh,
well,
okay.
okay, I was the other way, I was.
Let's go the other way.
Five's about as short as we do. so.
Yeah, we're not gonna go less than 5. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with the commission, Tina and Rebecca, for 5 minutes from 12:52 to 12:57, with open session to resume back in this room following the closed session.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahl. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll be back at 12:57.
Just make the paycheck late point meeting.
This conference will now be recorded.
That's it.
Well, it works both ways.
Some of the food going around, I guess, I don't know.
Okay, we're out of executive session, no decisions made, but we do have a couple salary changes. The first one in the Register of Deeds office for Joe Ottensmeyer will be a change from Deputy Register of Deeds to Part-Time Administrative Specialist 1. So the salary change will be from $3,342 a month to $2,643.
Okay, that's probably not right, because if it's a part-time, it needs to go to an hourly.
It needs to be done.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a monthly, so let
Okay,
me get.
then I will back off that announcement.
Sherry.
Come back to that.
We'll come back.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
And then would
We'll
that be
have
the
that
same
shortly.
person?
No, this one would be, no.
This one is correct? Okay, well then I can.
Because that was both monthly amounts.
I will announce this one.
Okay.
Register of Deeds Office, Hannah Branson, change from Administrative Specialist 1 to Deputy Register of Deeds, $2,647 a month to $3,179 a month, effective tomorrow.
I think she's gonna crack that link right now. so
That'd be
we should
great.
have that.
That'll work out perfect. I'm just glad you're here to catch it.
That's okay. Oh, I forgot on the admin, I had put in there the commission outside board reports for SCED and regional solid waste, so we may want to do that later.
We'll work that into the agenda.
Okay,
We were pushing our administrative.
yeah.
Rebecca was here, so we'll work that in.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I can check and see if Susan's ready.
Okay.
And when Sherry has that, she can bring it back.
Sure. Perfect.
Thank you.
This is handy. All right, another salary change for Register of Deeds. This will be Joe Ottensmeyer, change from Deputy Register of Deeds to Part-Time Administrative Specialist 1. The change is from $3,342 a month to an hourly wage of $15.25 per hour, effective tomorrow.
planning to be here, but when I peeked in there, she wasn't in the office, so. Do you want to do outside work report or maybe for this one?
Oh, we could probably do that. Who would like to skid report or regional solid waste?
I can give you a little update on
Alright,
Skid.
that'd be great.
Skid's, again, looking for a new executive director. Right now, the interim is Bill Lamp, who has been the head of the weatherization program. A lot of the board would like to see him apply for that. He's had more experience in Skid than any other employee. A percentage of administrative staff has been let go. Try to get finances back in order. Skid had been operating at a loss for a while. And so there is a new push by the board to get that budget back in line. All the programs are still operating, and there's personnel to handle those. But for that to be viable, they needed some big changes, which is happening. So
Just curious, how many different programs are there in Skid?
oh gosh, well,
Long.
the grant programs, you know, the SBA loans. There is actually a loan committee, just like a bank.
Oh, really? Okay.
With Skid.
Okay.
And most of them are bankers.
Okay.
Not
That's
me, but anyway. And so, you know, I think I don't know where the emphasis is going to be. A few years ago, Sedgwick County dropped out of Skid. And that was one of the major issues. And they're still trying to get them to become a member again. But in the meantime, they've taken over servicing on a bunch of it wasn't Skid, but a similar office in Garden City closed. So all the loans and that were assumed by Skid in Wichita. So they do have a lot of servicing. So, you know, if it's structured right, I think they'll be okay. But they were too heavy in employees and benefits. Employees and benefits were just killing them. So,
Well, we might come back to that since Susan's here, and we'll come back.
That's fine.
Further discussions.
Hi, Susan.
Hello.
What do you have for us today?
I need to request carryover of vacation for one of my employees.
Okay.
Is there a form or something, Tina, or how does this work? No?
No, if you need to talk about anything specific performance related to the employee, then you'll request an executive session to talk about that. And then, once that discussion has happened, then you can, in open session, request the carryover of the amount of vacation hours that need to be done,
Okay.
or it has to take action on that to approve.
All right, so I guess that's what I need to do.
All right. We'll do a five-minute executive
That's
session.
plenty.
I move that we recess the executive session in order to discuss vacation carryover, which would be pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, personal matters, non-elected personnel performance, with Commission Tina Susan for 5 minutes from 1:05 to 1:10, with open session to resume back in this room following the closed session.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gearing. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:10.
This conference will now be recorded.
Out of executive session, no decisions made. We do have an action. I'd like to make a motion to approve the carryover of 80 hours vacation time for Julie Insnar until September 20th. Second by Commissioner Gearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Contract negotiations, another example.
Yeah.
Sorry for this.
Yeah, you look at them, and she started by asking.
Yeah, and I didn't think of it. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Come on in.
Okay.
Very strange camera angle going on today.
Somebody's shoes or?
No, I just forgot to put this back. We use the room for poll worker training and it's all good.
All right. Hi, Nikki.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot, but we had 82 appeals. That's actually 5 less than last year.
Wow. That's
Sev-
interesting.
Yeah, 17 were, well, 16 were the new wind project, 14 were the same landowner, so, one was the northern wind farm. But, and obviously we listen to them, we go over the data, and if there's adjustments, we make them, but other than that, can't do a whole lot with that.
Brings an interesting point out. What would the landowner has to have an evaluation for something that's taxed or something? Is that why you said 14, the same landowner?
Actually, none of the property owners had turbines themselves. So, 2 of them are the big power poles off of Highway 77, like their views of their land, or they're on their land, or the other one was outside of like compensation if there was a disaster, views of the land, stuff like that.
Okay.
They worry about property value too with the turbines and the views, like if they were to sell their house, now they have to look at turbines or large power poles. I do know from the north side, there still hasn't been a whole lot of sales since that's been up and running, but we haven't seen a drop, so I assume it will work the same for the south. But I guess that's to be determined.
It's very interesting you said that, because I was talking to somebody yesterday, and the new power poles down 77 Highway, I don't know if anybody's driven 77 recently, but their comments was that the house they have lived in for 3-4 years or 5 now might not be as appealing just because of those lines down 77 Highway. They're about a mile, 3/4 mile away from them. But it was interesting to hear that, what you just said, because I heard that comment yesterday from the landowner.
It could be the same one, I don't.
Well, I don't know. I don't
You
know.
know, it could very well
Yeah.
be. I mean, we kind of had the discussion in our office that, you know, a new landowner coming in wouldn't know the difference. Whereas like your
Right.
current landowner
Yes.
obviously notices
Yes.
it, but.
Yes, and this would be, yeah, because they've been there.
I mean, we had that discussion of what do we do with them?
One thing, the way the market is now, there's such demand for housing.
There is.
It isn't, such demand, it isn't as high a factor. Now, if it was a situation where, you
Buyer's
know,
market.
yeah, buyer's market, it could be a factor.
Could be, so.
But in the current market, if anybody's looking for a place to live, it's,
But the North Wind Farm,
It's sold.
yeah, and so.
the North Wind Farm only has maybe a mile of poles in the county.
True, and there's a difference between
Yeah,
the two.
the transmission's whole lot different.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Those things are.
Transmission, everybody has their own
Everybody has their own perspective.
perspective.
Appeal factor.
My
Yes.
perspective is those transmission lines are better than the brand ones. The big poles.
The H wood.
Yeah, that have all the stuff on them.
No.
Or they're slim lining it down, taking it higher.
Yeah.
And it's more slim and elegant.
Hopefully these big poles don't have the problem with windstorms and things that the old poles have.
Should
Have
be
it.
more structural.
Yeah.
integrity. That's
Well,
it.
I've never seen the Berry method done before. That's where they're not pouring concrete bases, they're putting
Oh,
a piece
yes.
into the ground, and then they're mounting the pole onto that.
Yeah, that one comment yesterday was, he said, I've stopped and talked to the foreman, and, they're some 30 feet down. He said, they're putting some,
Those are big holes too.
They're big. There's
Yeah.
a lot of rock.
yeah, they're going down to the rock.
Yeah, so I mean, they're there, it's just a, in my mind, good old fashioned concrete, you know?
Yeah, well, right.
But it's, some engineers check this and it's good, so.
Well, I'm glad you're having another exciting learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
Something new every day, right?
Of course.
Okay.
We do still have 3 open appeals. They're on an affordable housing complex actually in Hillsborough. Once we close those up, and I just got done talking to Bob from PBD this morning on those. So hopefully we'll have those closed and then we can certify real estate to soon.
Yay.
We anxiously wait. Only three.
Yeah. Personal property valuations went out today. Taxpayers have 15 days to appeal those. And then after that period, oil and gas and personal property will be certified.
Okay, go ahead and expand that so that the public
Understand?
Yeah, when you set these out, this is the time to appeal, not when you see the dollars and cents sign at the.
The actual
On the
tax
tax
rate.
It is much
Tax rate.
easier to appeal valuations than it is to protest. It's all the same process, just easier before the tax bills go out and budgets are set.
Yes,
Yeah, very good point.
yeah.
Our part-time person wants to come back full-time, but only for like a year or 2. But it would be full-time, 40 hours a week. We just kind of discussed possibly not as much education since he put it out there that it would only be a year or 2. But he is already somewhat trained. He would probably need some more because it's been since last summer, but,
And you wouldn't send him all to schools because he didn't want to stay.
right, since we know that up front, we obviously wouldn't put that money into him. Unless something changed and he decided to stay, then.
Might change his mind because it's such a
Right.
good working environment.
Right,
Good
he might
boss,
just like us that much and never leave.
Good coworkers.
How does that affect our pay structure? Because you would put them in a category, and if they wanted to.
It's a certain position, and it won't affect anything. I mean, if he decides to stick around and wants to, take training and move up to another position, we have that availability. But this is, I believe, the data collector position.
Yep.
So regardless of whether it's
Stays flat.
full-time or part-time, it's the same.
Yeah, there's still steps there, Dave.
There is steps
There's
if they were
steps.
to do education, and we did talk to him about that, but if there was education, it would be very minimal, unless, like I said, unless he changes his mind, but typically it'll take about a year or 2 for them to even be certified to move up to the second step.
All right.
We did just get back from the Eagle View conference in San Antonio. It went good. The conference itself went good.
Getting home was another.
Getting home was definitely a problem. They have a couple new products. We went to several sessions, each teaching something different about the uses of the product that we already have. It kind of gave us new insight on how to use the program differently than how we use it, which could open us, like Shelby and I, into showing somebody else a better way to use the program that might fit their department better. We have been offered hands-on training either virtually or to lunch and learn. If we do it virtually, they can only do 9 people at a time. And this would be more of an opportunity for the other interviews. I know I've talked about this before, so it's not new, it's just getting closer to actually happening. And that's all I have on that, unless you guys have any questions about that. And then in June, the North Central Regional IAAO chapter has a conference in Burlington, Iowa, and I would like to go to that. It would be carpooling with 2 other counties. This conference covers topics like sales ratio, commercial assessment of residential housing markets, and the cost is $350 plus hotel stay.
We're still in social
Seems like something you need to attend.
Yeah, training is good.
Yeah, it's all taught by IAAO certified instructors, so, I mean, when we do our conference here in Kansas, those are typically just taught by instructors in Kansas, so this is more international, regional information.
But not every state's laws are like Kansas.
They all have to, we all have to follow IAAO standards, so.
Any objections? I see no objections. Commission consensus approval.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay. Any questions for Nikki?
No, and we did have the contract negotiation on the agenda, but Nikki's contract still has 2 years left.
Right.
So I don't know if there's anything that needs to be discussed on contract negotiation at this time.
Have to go to executive if there was.
Right.
That's just saying. You gotta ask for the executive if
Oh,
we need to.
I mean, I think it would maybe be helpful at least to discuss one matter.
Okay.
So
5 minutes.
maybe 5
I need to
minutes.
go to an executive session.
I move we recess to executive session in order to discuss personnel or contract negotiations, I'm sorry, pursuant to case A 75-4319B.
There's
Oh, right there it is, I'm sorry, number 3, employer-employee negotiations with Commissioner Tina and Nikki for 5 minutes from 1:24 to 1:29, with open session to resume back in this room following the closed session.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried. We'll be back at 1:29.
This conference will now be recorded.
Just 1 second.
We are out of executive session. No decisions made. All right, Nikki, thank you.
Thank you.
Continued success. Get those last 3.
I'll work on it.
All right, we're ready for the sheriff?
He's out there.
Okay.
We made it back.
Sheriff!
Well, I need to talk to who's over next.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Oh, I don't have a lot for you. We can talk about one, unless you guys got questions. I'm a little tired this morning. We did just serve the letter. I don't know if Johnny told you or not.
I told him, but I couldn't tell everybody else.
Oh, that's right. I forget. So there's rules to this game. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah. I try to tell the chairman, so.
Informed and arrested.
Okay, so we went and served the letter from Brad Jantz, the council's attorney, on
Friday at
Friday at
4:30.
4:30, and it was for the people who have that
Illegal dump.
illegal dump out there.
Recycle.
I made a copy of it, and Jonah met me out there, and we went and did personal service on it. So, the wife answered the door. I explained to her that it was a letter from the Marion County Commission, that they hadn't picked up priority mail, and I was hand delivering it. She said, "Okay, thank you," and shut the door. So,
I didn't say anything.
he didn't say a word.
I stood right there.
He was my backup. The thing I have this morning is my vehicles are killing me. I've got 4 down. I've got vehicles, those Dodge Durangos that we're buying from the Highway Patrol that are used. I've got multiple oil coolers on one unit. Right now, there are literally 4 down. Last week, the undersheriff and myself, we drove personal vehicles where we were afoot. We gave our vehicles to patrol guys. We did get a new Explorer last week from that place we talked to you guys about before. And it was exactly what he said it would be. It's a nice vehicle, it's got 7,000 miles on it. It was completely equipped, and I think with our trade, they gave us $2,500 for that old Durango we had in the back that had the gas tank that couldn't hold any fuel in it anymore. We were able to get it started enough and get it up on his trailer. He was happy with that. And I think that was costing around $38,000 is what it cost us for that. And that was completely outfitted. I didn't ask the Midway Chevy dealer in Hillsborough to bring a vehicle over, but Clinton did bring a vehicle over the other day. He brought over a Chevy four-door pickup, had a four-cylinder turbo in it. We drove it. I think after rebates, if the fleet rebates are still there, it was like $44,000. I'm not into that. I think we can do some more looking around. I've talked to Hillsborough Ford. I've talked to everybody. All the banks, order banks are closed. The last time we had one in the order bank, it got canceled. So vehicles are extremely hard to get right now. We do have some upfitters. There's a place called TCS, which is down in Wichita. They've priced us a Tahoe, and this was without trade or anything. They can do $48,000. I probably have the money in my budget with the Lake Patrol Fund to get one. We're going to see what comes up with mechanical issues on these. We have pulled one of those old Tauruses out of our boneyard, got it running good enough to keep it going, so somebody would have something to drive. But right now, my vehicle maintenance budget is killer. I don't know what to do about it because I can't go without it. So, anybody's got any questions about vehicles? Ask away.
And none of these were under warranty that went down?
We just had the one go out, the second oil cooler, 77,000 miles on it.
Are these
We
all
buy them with a bumper-to-bumper warranty, and from the Highway Patrol, they still have their warranty. Oil coolers are not covered because it's not a mechanical lubricated part.
It's not part of the powertrain.
So between oil coolers, what's going on is the oil cooler's dumping antifreeze into the oil, and then it's letting the oil back into the antifreeze.
Turns out the oil,
And
white
it's blowing,
frothy.
yep, it's blowing hoses, and luckily enough, our guys, the key indication of those is they're leaking when it happens. So a guy will pull his unit away from something, and he'll go, that looks like oil, and they'll shut it off. So we've managed to save, out of the four that's done it already, we've managed to save every engine. We haven't had an engine issue. The other issue we're having with them is we couldn't figure out why we were going through headlights all the time. And then we parked one at the range one day when we were shooting, and the Durango wouldn't start. So we took it, that's the one you guys asked me here a while back why we had it towed, because we couldn't even get it to start. We had it towed. Again, it's electrical, so it's not under warranty. We took it in and we found out is like there's a computer system, like the ECM computer system or something in it. They're weak, and they're allowing electricity to feed out to certain parts of the vehicle while it's shut off. Well, what they were feeding through into were the headlights, and that's why we're burning all the headlight bulbs out of them. This one happened to feed into the ignition system, and it wiped the ignition system, and when the deputy stuck his key fob, because everything's a key fob now, he stuck it in the ignition, turned it over, and it wiped the key fob. So we're like all good cops, go get the other key fob. We go get the other key fob, and it wipes that key fob as well. So now we're starting to have to replace those computers. And so far, it has not changed. We do have one in our fleet that we were pretty happy of. It wasn't a Highway Patrol, it was a 2021, I think, that been purchased new. So we were kind of thinking maybe it was a Highway Patrol issue, buying the used ones. Well, no, that's the one that finally blew the oil cooler on it. The guy actually bragged about it the night before. He's like, man, I haven't had a problem with this 2021. The next morning, he comes on duty, pulls away from his parking spot, and there's oil on the ground with antifreeze in it. So it's a Durango issue, and I think it's a COVID issue. We're still seeing the remnants of, these are all vehicles that were from 19 to 21, when we had a hard time with, labor and everything in the workforce. And I think these are the vehicles that they just slapped together to get something on the road. I don't know if we'll see that on the next ones. I do know Highway Patrol is running a 2022, I think, or 2023 that the troop has right now in Marion County, and they've told him when you get your new vehicle from us, go ahead and order this part and this part now, because you might have it when it's ready. So it's taking anywhere from 6 months or so to get brakes and rotors for those.
Pretty sad for the amount of money invested in those things.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
The Tahoe, was it equipped?
That was not equipped, but I think I can equip that out of my lake patrol fund. I know, and I hate saying this, but I'm gonna say it out loud anyway. I know my predecessor hated using the Tahoe, the lake fund. It was kind of a cash reserve for the sheriff's office. We have it in there, we're gonna use it if we have to. If I gotta pay, it's about anywhere from $7 to $9 grand to outfit a vehicle anymore. And I'm not, we used to take them and have a deputy at the sheriff's office put them together. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Because if something goes wrong and they upfit it and it burns that vehicle down, I don't think our insurance will cover it. We're gonna take it to an upfitter. That TCS is also an upfitter. We let them upfit it, like the guy that did the Explorer we just got, he's an upfitter. He has insurance. So if it becomes like the light bar causes a fire and burns the vehicle, we can go back to our upfitter and go, hey, this is what the investigation shows, that this was started because of something you put in the vehicle. And didn't wire it correctly.
All these have the same problem, give or take. Would that be some kind of an insurance claim?
So we're gathering all the information we can on these vehicles right now. It's one of Larry's projects he's working on. And then we're gonna call Mopar Dodge and explain to them, this is the issue we're having. Here's what we're seeing in all your vehicles. Will they do anything about it? I don't know. I know Midway will not do that.
Yeah.
This be a class action suit.
I would think there's gotta be more places having issues.
Right. With that number, just in your fleet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
statewide or nationwide, it's gotta be a tremendous number.
Yeah. Well, and I think it probably is there because you can't, we called the other day when the second oil cooler blew out
Yeah.
a week, and Mopar told us we can't get you one.
Yeah.
So now we're in the search for an aftermarket. The other vehicle that was down, so the deputy was driving one of the vehicles that had the oil cooler down. He was like, all right, go back to the office, grab the lake patrol, because the lake patrol started here in a week, I think in a week. Told him to get it. He was driving down 56 highway, middle of the dark out. There was a pipe in the road. It hit it. Didn't see it, and it poked a hole in the gas tank. So we took it, thought maybe we could repair it. Can't repair it, got by the gas tank. It's unrepairable. So,
Hard to replace plastic.
yeah, well, everything's plastic. So, I just want you guys to be aware that my
Just
woes.
replacements.
What kind of mileage do you expect on a car per year?
I would say probably around that 20 to 30,000 range at the most. I got guys that don't drive that much, and I got guys that run the wheels off of them. My night guys, they're running the wheels off of everything. My detectives and stuff, they're not driving them hard. But it doesn't seem to matter which guy's driving it. When it hits around that 70,000 or 100,000 mark, we're having an issue.
That's mileage.
Ought to be 277.
Well, yeah, my daughter called me the other day, and she wants to trade her Toyota off her, that I got her in high school. It's got 298,000 miles on it. I said, is there something wrong with it? No. I said, keep driving.
Yeah, it'll go to 400,000.
Yeah, my ideal thought would be to, I remember when I was here at the sheriff's office before, we run cars to 100,000. Now, times were different. 100,000 miles back. Everybody said at this table remembers that once you had a vehicle at 100,000 miles, you got rid of it.
It was done.
But those days are over with. We got 150, 200,000 mile cars. The railroads, we ran them. What we did is we had a deal set up to where there was a formula that they had that they would figure out exactly how much money they had into the vehicle, and that's what told them to get rid of the vehicle. It wasn't a mileage range. We had cars that had 300,000 miles on them, but we had put nothing in them, so they were still cost effective for our agency to run them still. Now, granted,
None of yours will fit that, because all of
No,
yours are already
no.
exceeded the.
So we're kind of looking at some different ways to kind of evaluate the vehicles. Right now, we're mudding through it, and we'll get through it, but I'm not asking for any money here today. I'm just up there.
The calculation is called ROGI.
You what?
The calculation is called ROGI, return on gross investment.
Yes, okay, there you go.
Well, if you come up with a strategy, a plan, an idea, let us know.
Okay,
It's gotta be, any plan's gotta be better than what's happening.
Right,
Yeah.
especially this last one, I think that's a good example. You found a good location, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Turned out
yeah,
to
and
be a
we'll,
really
we'll,
good deal.
we'll look at it. This other guy in Missouri, it was kind of a fluke deal. He normally deals with wrecked vehicles that have salvage titles, and we don't want any salvage titles because that needs any warranty or anything like
Right.
that. He's got a couple of those Explorers that are black. I was trying to stay with white, I was trying to stay more uniform, but beggars can't be choosers either. Eventually, I'm gonna have to make a move, but the guy's got a white Tahoe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He drove a black car in his last business. So you're just getting broke in.
You got some nice
I don't
patrol
need you to
going
point
on.
out the
Oh, okay.
I like
Strategy.
I like the white cars, I really do.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll look at the title, we'll see what he can put a package together probably. And we'll let you know, but right now I'm not really super excited about that either.
Okay.
I'm more super excited about staying under budget. So,
That's all I gotta have wheels.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? If not, thank you, appreciate it, good luck.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. You're next.
I know I said thanks Friday, but I really mean it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, anytime. You guys need me anytime. I didn't see a conflict there. Normally there almost never is a conflict. So if you guys need something, just let me know. Bryce, you're up.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right.
What do you have for us today?
All kinds of stuff.
All right.
First of all, area fuel bids. F's was low on all three, so I recommend they be approved for area fuel.
Do we have a motion?
I'll take the recommendation. Go ahead.
Yeah, just the two bidders.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the bid from EPS. Is there, from Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Becker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. Got the fence fixed down at Peabody.
Cool.
What's his name?
On the east side?
Yep. got that
Cool.
done. 350th Bridge, as I sent notice last week, is reopened. We fixed up dirt work and stuff like that, so we are totally done with it. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have all the costs and everything else together. Do you want me to come back to you, to Brad, or both of you, or on those costs?
Just get them to Brad.
Okay.
Were you gonna do some dirt work out there, or is that, or is
Already
it
did.
done?
Already
Yeah,
did.
it's all
done.
cleaned
Yep.
out underneath it.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, we did all that last week, so we're totally done.
Are we able to get machinery under there?
What's that?
You're able to get machinery
Yeah.
under there pretty easy?
Yeah, we had that little mini X, and I was able to either pull or push stuff out there, and then we had a D5 dozer and pushed it up on top, so we fixed all the slopes and stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah, so, turned out pretty well, so, during their 6-month evaluation of the roof that we had done 2 years ago, they found some skylights that were cracked. And they said, well, you want to replace those? And I said, well, what about warranty? And they said, oh, yeah. So the skylights will be replaced at the south building that cracked. They're supposed to be shipping today. So they've been waiting for 4 or 5 months just to get them brought in. So anyway, those will be replaced, no cost to us. The 70th road rebuild that you guys met, was it last week, week before? Last week? I think it was. Anyway, the guys are down there rebuilding the road today. Wanted to talk about whether you wanted that to have survey or not to find the property locations.
For the fence line.
Yes.
Oh,
Fence
Ty-
line.
Typically,
70th road rebuild.
yes.
Yeah, it's-
I didn't know there was a rebuild part of it.
Well,
I thought we were just.
Yeah.
well,
Fence. If you're gonna build a fence, just we'll rebuild.
That's what the deal was, because it has bad drainage, and said, now's the time to do it, go in there and
Right.
pick that up. Typically in the past, I mean, if you want to require it, that's fine. Typically in the past, we've looked for existing markers or fence posts or utilities or whatever else to kind of determine where that easement is. We have some risers for the gas line that were down there, and the gas guy was going to be there on site today. But if you want to require a survey for that property, then that's what we need to do before the fence goes in. So we've also in the past, as for instance, there was a nice fence on the south side. We typically measure off that to the other side, and we stay inside of that line when we do our rebuilds and stuff like that. So again, if it's something you want to require a survey for, then that's what you want to do, and then it comes down to who pays for that.
Well, we just didn't want to, I think the thought was we didn't want to tell them to go ahead and build a fence, and then 2 years later, somebody come along and say, no, that's in the wrong place, move on.
I think
They gotta have some sort of insurance.
The fence builder was very concerned. I mean, if I was a fence builder, I'd want pins.
Well, he's the same way. He doesn't want to put it up and then have to come back later on and move it.
Right.
Now, on the east end, right there at that corner, there's an existing fence coming off of that corner right there. Based on the assumption of being there already, I would assume that that would be line up with what's there. But again, I don't know. Now, if it comes down to the issue is, will anybody be concerned about it other than the fence is up? I don't know. But again, that's just something that.
If we rebuild the road though, they can go off the center of the road then.
I would say so in the location it is. Now, if this was something different to where it was a high-profile road, a paved road, something to that effect, I'd probably have a little more concern. This is going to be a very low-speed roadway through there.
What's the easements?
I think it was 50 foot, 25 either way. But again, you throw that up there to say that the center of the road is where the center of the road should be.
Right.
Yeah. The only other thing to do again was to pull a survey, and then I don't know, they'd have to find 3 out of the 4 section corners around there in order to mark that. But again, if that's what you want to do, then.
Well, shouldn't the land have been, when it's sold, would there have been a survey on it?
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Because it didn't sell that long.
That's why let's call it more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes back to a matter of, look, we all want the fence in the right location. The question is, how do you determine the right location? Do you want to go by some of the methods that Bryce has brought up, or do you want a firm survey? Commissioner?
I've got lifelong history of that corner
Sure.
right there.
Right.
Some as commissioner with
Yep.
Carl Peterson when he owned to the east of there, and that was road went on east of there.
Right.
There was a hedgerow going over the hill for a little bit.
Yep.
There was a double hedgerow down the road we went.
Yep.
There was a double hedgerow at one time, even going south, the one that you come up from off the 60th. So all of that has been changed. That new fence over on the south side that's on Lyle right now was put in by the Townsend Ranch, and if you notice, they took out all the hedge stumps and everything and went back on their property and set it back. So I imagine that's probably even set back a little bit on that side of the road. I just guess it, don't know. But I know that's all been replaced within the last 20 years. All
So
that.
you couldn't measure from there because you'd be giving them
You don't
3
know if
extra
they
feet.
allowed a setback
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know that there's anything there to go from that I know of that's been there for, like you was talking about, maybe 50 years or 100 years. I don't know. That's why that was mentioned. That's why I asked if we're doing this, is because none of us want to be able to sit there and say, have somebody come in and prove to us 5 years from now that, well, here's my ground, if Randy sold it, and this is, or we've got to do something. I don't know who would come, like you said, this low profile area that don't know, but yet we want it done to where we don't have to ever look at it again. Hopefully 2 fences is.
So that is the question. We want it done in the right place. So what is the method, consensus of the commission, of the method of determining that?
Well, the next question was, and I asked, I think after the end of the meeting, or right while I was there, well, who's paying for it? Who's paying for the survey for it, okay?
I mean, that's my,
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if they refuse?
Yeah.
I'll put it as part of the resolution.
mean, I don't know unless you, maybe if you have somebody, I like the idea of what, you're just saying going off of what's there right now. If we had to agreement between two landowners, both Lyle, Randy, and the county, three people, that the center of the road was acceptable in this position, would that stand? I don't have a clue.
It'd be every neighbor within a certain radius, like they do with a lot split. You gotta have
to
a
get
protest.
all of the
basically.
neighbors that own
Yeah,
within.
well, there's only
Survey's the best and easiest,
Well,
but like you
joining-
said, when it
joining
comes to
land.
cost, who's gonna pay? I mean, can we enforce that the landowner pays the survey?
Yes.
So Commissioner Doc, is that where you're at, is the survey?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we gotta have.
I just wanna get a
Yeah.
firm
Yes.
understanding where,
Mhm.
so we've got two full commissioners on board with the survey. The other two, where are you at?
I'm from City of the Road.
Okay. Commissioner Gary?
And we gotta know where the center of the road is,
Yeah, you're not sure about
Yeah.
that.
so. Landowner, I guess.
How can you make them pay?
Because they need to build a fence,
They need to build a fence in the right location.
or they need to break it back out to crops.
And then farm the road. Consensus I'm hearing is we're gonna ask the landowner for the survey.
Okay. So if you're going to put the survey on the landowner, then the landowner should hire their own. I'm just throwing that out there
What's
because
the
if we.
definition of the surveyor?
Well, you'll have to have a PLS, so professional land
I
surveyor.
was saying they'd have to be licensed.
Yeah.
And there's only,
And, I mean, there's several of them that can do that, but again, if they hire them, then they're responsible for paying it. If we go out and get a survey, then they come back and say, well, you're the one that requested it. Now, regardless of whatever they do, it's gonna have to be recorded.
Right.
So,
How about we wait till our counselor Silver, who run it past him, if there's a way we could do it and then.
You could not require a survey, and then they're at risk if they build the fence. So the way they keep themselves from being at risk is to hire a surveyor.
but they're gonna say, well, if we get that fence put up, is anybody ever gonna come back and say it's in the wrong spot?
That's the risk they're willing,
Yeah.
they're rolling them dice.
Yeah.
Okay, we've chased our tails enough. We'll
Okay.
wait for Brad to give us an answer.
Update on the blue stem work. All this work on blue stem has been done. We got the soil out from underneath 260th. We got the culvert in at south of 270th. We got the culvert in at 280th. We were really shocked we had enough dirt just to fill in the one at 270th. We could use some more. Still working on that, but at least we got it to where it's opened up.
Good.
Ready to go.
Good improvements.
The 5127 schedule, that would be the HRRR project at 130th and Indigo. That goes to let in June. They called and asked me for start dates. I said they could start as soon as possible, and I think we were gonna set it up like June or July of next year for late start. The problem is it shouldn't take very long. They still should be able to do it this year, assuming that somebody could take 5 or 10 days to get it done. But if we specify it has to be done this year, you're gonna pay a premium to have somebody come in and justify the change in their schedule to get it in. So that was a recommendation by KDOT. He said the work that they're doing right now, he said they're actually giving until the end of next year for everything. He said that people are that swamped. So, but anyway, that's what we set there. Kansas will start tomorrow. Their contractor got rained out last week on a day, so they actually work Saturday, but they're coming in tomorrow. Just got confirmation out an hour ago, so that will be set up there.
Already started to put up barricades or anything?
No.
That way, kinda more of a heads up, hey, this is coming.
The problem is if we put up barricades, we either need to do all or nothing. Because we put up a sign that says road closed and the road's not closed, then we can end up with trouble. We just go out there and do it all at one time. And it's gonna take them probably 3 or 4 hours by the time they get everything. They'll put up all their advance notice first, then they'll come back in and actually close the road. So, unfortunately, it'd just be nice if you could snap your finger and have it done in 10 minutes. but-
No, I get that, but it's just, not everybody is paying attention. And you're going to catch a lot of people off guard.
And we will regardless.
Well,
I can tell you from 30 years of
No
experience.
matter what you do to the club,
Yeah.
drive around.
Yeah.
Well, you can always try.
I wish, again, that's what I said, if we could just instantaneously do it.
That's why I brought up the other day, was we should put signs up saying construction will begin.
Nobody
Good
reads.
times.
Well, and they're gonna say, well, we'll say we say yesterday and we changed it, so now we have to go back and, you know. I understand what you're saying. I wish there was something that we could do that would be, I mean, you could put up a changeable message board all over the place.
Well, it's what KDOT does.
Right.
And they put up those, and they let you know, so then you're not completely ticked off when you forgot.
Yes.
That it's your fault, you forgot.
Right. The problem with that is those are very expensive unless you have them
Well,
in your.
I get that, but we could put up something,
Okay.
or put some barricades out today, that people would see barricades that are sitting on the shoulder.
This is on 190th in Kansas?
Yes. Even if people knew about it, they're still going to come in and say, well, I didn't know it was closed.
Well, yeah.
Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but,
Yeah.
so.
I think as long as the user down there, you got a big company down there, as long as they're under control.
Well, you also got a church down there. Got a church down there.
Oh, yeah.
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 Well, by the time that, obviously with the church is set up, it will be up there all this week. So,
And there's good detour routes in place.
Yep.
So, all right, I'm gonna
Okay.
put the rest of your agenda on hold. We'll
Okay.
move into the Doyle Creek watershed discussion. Since I think that we're at our time on the agenda, and I think all the parties are here.
yeah,
So, do you want to lead into that, or hand it over to Brian, or?
I would say just go to Brian. I mean,
Okay.
this was requested by the commission, so.
Okay,
We're
very good. Brian?
Where do you want me to?
A microphone.
A microphone, okay.
We have online people, so.
All right.
They have a very difficult time hearing, so as close to the microphone as possible for those people who are online.
Have the copy there. Everybody, commission, and one for Bryce.
But if you'd introduce yourself for those online.
Okay, introductions. My name's Brian Lang. I'm the contracting officer for Doyle Creek Watershed and Middle Creek Watershed. Both of those are located here in Marion County. Just a little background for myself. I spent over 33 years with the federal government. Started out with Soil Conservation Service, and that name changed to the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Retired almost 8 years ago now. Since then, I've been working both for both of the watershed districts as their contracting officer. All my career with SES and RCS was spent either in the planning, design, or construction of watershed structures. I also did a little bit of other stuff along the way, but that was the bulk of my experience. And now I guess I'm still doing some of that. So, in your hands, I guess, if they come around, just some history about Doyle Creek Watershed, maybe some facts to, not sure how familiar you are with the watershed district, but it was formed in April of 1970. Of course, that took a vote of all the district members to do that. The general plan was published in '75, and in that plan they had 22 proposed floodwater dams at various site locations. The district has a total of 89,410 total acres in both Marion County and Harvey County. The bulk of that is in Marion County. Two major purposes of the watershed district were to reduce flood damages and provide watershed protection in Doyle Creek. Most of the damage reduction is upstream and around Peabody. If you look on the second page of your handout there is a map of the watershed district showing the proposed locations of the structures. And then all of the yellow area that you see on the map, that is the area of flood reduction or the benefit area of the watershed district. So the watershed district requested approval from NRCS, or Soil Conservation Service, for funding, and they did some planning work, and that funding was approved in 1992. Prior to then, the district had constructed 4 watershed dams, and they utilized state and local funds to do that. Since then, they've also put 2 additional dams in with those same funds, and the last one of those was completed in 2001. To date, no dams have been completed with PL 566 funding through NRCS. In addition to the money they've spent to construct dams, the watershed district also cost shares on suitable conservation practices with landowners within their district. District is authorized spending up to $20,000 a year for the last 3 years as part of that. So the current work plan with NRCS has 6 dam sites in it. One of those dams is labeled FRD 11, Floodwater Retarding Dam number 11. It was actually designed back in 2009 by NRCS, and it was the last one designed by NRCS up until this last year. The district was working on permits when NRCS funds for watershed work were suspended in 2010. So I was actually the original designer of that structure, and I do remember the day that our state conservationists came back and said, you have to quit working on watershed work. The funds were rescinded by Congress, and we had to stop that day from working on any of that stuff, which is unusual because up until that time we had always had watershed money. So the funds for NRCS were reestablished in 2017, and the district requested funds to go ahead and do some work again, and they were approved for funding in 2018. And those funds were used to update the work plan, reaffirm feasibility of all the remaining structures, and then update the design of this FRD 11 to current criteria. Because after so many years, the criteria changed and other things have changed as well. So they got approved for that. We've been in contract with an engineering firm to do all of that work, and the updated design of FRD 11 is nearly complete. Doyle Creek has secured funding for construction as part of the last national budget bill. They worked with Senator Jerry Moran's office and got directed spending, particularly for this project. Those funds will come through NRCS, but they are dedicated to this project. And it's for the construction and mitigation costs and then any technical assistance that NRCS provides. So the district expects to apply for permits here in the next 60 days. Once they get their final drawings, they can apply with the Corps and DWR for construction permits. And if everything goes well, we hope to start construction either really late this year or early in 2024. So as part of the permit from the Corps of Engineers, the district must mitigate or replace stream habitat that's lost due to construction of the structure. So what the Corps says is that any fill you put into a stream that they consider waters of the U.S., or any water that you put over a stream that they consider waters of the U.S. requires some kind of mitigation, because it's no longer a stream, it's some other kind of habitat. So as part of the design process and part of the environmental process we've been going through, we've determined how many what we call mitigation divots are responsible by the construction of this dam. Based on the design and where the pool will be and everything that we know, it looks like just slightly over 17,000 divots are part of this project. So the district has to find at that many credits to offset those divots as part of the permit process with the Corps.
So we've been working, and I've talked with Bryce for a couple of years already on several things, looking for ways to find mitigation credits in conjunction with maybe work that the county would do as part of their road project. And what the Corps looks at is that if you've got a failing culvert where there's an overfall at the downstream end of the culvert, which does not allow aquatic organism passage during low flow periods, then they consider that an inadequate culvert, and replacement of that will get you mitigation credits. Now, depending on the size of the stream and several other factors, how many credits you can get is based on their mitigation guide that they put out. Well, in the last 2 years, they've come out with a new guide, and this is since I've talked to Bryce about some of the projects we had looked at previously. Previously, we kind of knew what the requirements were for mitigation, but we didn't know what the points were. Now we know what the points are. And we've looked pretty hard on this inadequate culvert on 80th Road, where Doyle Creek crosses under that road. The Corps has agreed that if you replace that culvert with a span bridge, it will provide around 70% of the mitigation credits needed. So I just talked with the Corps representative this morning, and they're still agreeable to that. This isn't due to the fact that there's several miles of Doyle Creek upstream of that location that would be reconnected with a span bridge. That's not right now. That and the proximity to FRD 11, which is just 3/4 of a mile upstream of this location, makes this place very desirable project to the Corps. Typically, the Corps wants you to go to a mitigation bank or an in-lieu provider first to get these mitigation credits, because those have already been approved by the Corps and their monitoring is in place, and so their hierarchy is for you to utilize those first, and then local sponsors generated stuff as the last one. But because of the proximity to this project, they realize that it's very close to the project and it's very desirable because of that. So the other thing that, if we do get to construct FRD 11, it will reduce the flows coming down to this location by quite a bit, because over 20% of the drainage area to that point will be controlled by FRD 11. So that's a help for this location as well. So just as far as being open with you, Doyle Creek will get reimbursed for any funds that they spend for mitigation credits as part of this dedicated funding from Congress. But there's a limit on how much they can spend, and NRCS will make that determination. And it all comes down to whether the project still has positive benefit cost ratio when they're done. We have not heard yet from NRCS what that fund will be, how much those funds will be. Based on what I've been talking with them and what I know right now, that total project limit on the mitigation is going to be in the range of about $300,000. So the more we can get locally, and the more we can get reasonably locally, rather than having to go to a mitigation bank or to a ILF, which those are going to be much more costly per credit, we can keep that money local and do some good with that money locally here. But we're not going to know exactly how much budget we can give to the county until we know how much credits are we're going to be able to get and what the total project costs are going to be from NRCS. So, I guess those are the reasons why the district would like to move forward with this project, because it's good for them, and hopefully it's good for the county as well. So, I guess at this point, that's all I had to present. I'd sure answer any questions anybody has.
Good. I'm gonna let Commissioner Dalkey, because he represents that area, he's
Okay.
familiar with it, and he and Bryce have been out and looked at the location. He knows the traffic, he knows the flow, so I think Commissioner Dalkey has some input or comments, questions.
If we're building this and it's supposed to reduce, then what's existing never was apparently correct for the size of the flood area that is there, because that, from the culvert west for at least 150 yards or so is all flood area. So this dam is supposed to reduce that somewhat.
It will reduce it somewhat, yes.
But if it don't, it says 20% of the total drainage area is the way it looks like, what it says here. The other percent, I have relatives that live up at the north end of this, and they have a wide flood area coming down that I think will be on the back side or bottom side of the dam, because the dam will be back to the, I don't know exact location.
Okay, if you look on the third page there, you see the big number 11 there?
Yeah.
That's the location of FRD 11, and it's just north of the half section line in section 28.
Okay, that's Indigo Road right here to the
east.
To the east, to your right, okay, of 11.
Mhm.
And then this showing this side up here, this is showing this corner up here north of.
Right, the green area is the drainage area. The structure itself is shown down close to 28 there.
Okay.
And the blue area kind of represents what the water pool area would be.
This area still comes down through there and it comes, it'll be coming in behind the back of the dam.
Yes.
Okay.
It drains into the dam.
Drains north, south,
Yes.
west, east.
Mhm.
And still, the yellow is still showing the flood area across that road. Or the,
Right, that's the benefit area. So that's typically around the 100-year flood level.
and we have no definite cost of what the county may be involved in.
Well, yeah, that is up to what the county decides to put in. So that is up to your engineer and the board to decide how they want to approach this. What I'm saying is that for us to get the points, the mitigation credits, to where the district can help the county or pay the county for the mitigation credits, it needs to be at least a 24-foot span bridge. That's what the Corps will require to get those mitigation credits.
Okay. Problem 11 is the one we're talking about. Is problem 10 built?
No, it's not.
10's a future thing, project.
It's a plan as well.
Okay. 9 has been built?
No, 9 is a plan as well.
9 is planned, so none of the rest of it has been.
Right.
So all of this is 10, 9 and 10 is going to still drain through this flood area.
Yes.
Plus the east side of it. Well, when you explain, I mean, we look back and to the best of our knowledge, it don't say back when the commissioners okayed some of the flooding of this project to go back over 90th, back up in here.
Okay.
On
I've
28.
I've got a resolution number for you.
Do you?
You bet, yeah.
And does it say anything about what the county would do then? I mean, this is before any of us commissioners was here.
Mhm. Say I did that. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not finding that resolution number. I believe it was 04-24 was the resolution number though. And basically that allowed the, oh, here it is. So it says that Marion County has a public Marion County road right-of-way running on the section line between 21 and 28. Township 21 south, turns 2 east. Board of County Commissioners, Marion County has passed resolution 04-24. District must comply with the resolution, make provisions to comply with the construction requirements in its construction contract documents. So that's, I'm not aware of what the resolution said, I didn't have a copy of that. But that should state what the elevations are, or what the temporary flooding requirements are, and any requirements that the district has to do for that.
At that time, it was telling what should, okay.
Yes.
But still, it's not asking the county commission to spend anything, it's just asking for permission to allow that to flood.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as we sit here in today's world, no matter what we do, and so if you come back and ask us to spend $100,000 for this section of road, 80th across here, or more, I don't know, would you say a 40-foot or 40-foot span?
24-foot span.
24-foot span.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have people, that's an outside job for us to do, to do that. And bottom line, that road is not a favorable road to spend $100,000 on.
And I wouldn't expect you to do that. What I'm saying is the district is offering some monies to make the situation better. Now, what you spend bottom line is up to your engineer and the commission here to do that. What I'm saying is, if we give you a budget of X dollars, if you can make that work, we can provide that money. If you can't, then we have to go elsewhere, and we need to know that as a district.
And this mitigation, would it be of the same value? I personally know 90th, I would rather spend $100,000 up here trying to make it passable, or at all times, and not have to have the road department called when the flood's out.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, sitting here looking at it, even though I know I see your plan now, I've never seen this till just now, that I see what you're doing is any water that's held back up here over a period of time will eventually stop it from coming through Peabody.
Right.
I mean, it will. I'm not going to deny that, because you have some ponds already that does a great job to do that. But this is 6 or 7 miles away from Peabody now, I think, to work before it gets to Peabody. But I see the general plan here, and it looks good if you got them all built. But for us to spend money, I'd rather spend it on 90th to improve the road condition if it was a project for that. I mean, this dam is going to cause us problems forever, even though it's going to take probably a 6 or 7 inch rain to flood 90th. Maybe, I think that was, I've heard that. Isn't that sort of, it's one of them, not every rain is going to do it. It's going to be a major rain that happens when it crosses.
Yes, the low point in the road is above what we call our auxiliary spillway, where the water starts running around the side of the dam.
Okay.
But it's below the top of the dam. It is within the 100-year floodplain of the dam. So yes, that's why it was required to get the temporary road easement on that.
Okay.
Will it ever backwater over there? At some point in time, it can. You know, there's always going to be a storm out there
That's
bigger than what you designed
Right.
for.
Okay.
And so I can't say never. Will it be in my lifetime?
Right.
I'm older than that, so
Yeah. Well, that's the main, from what we knew as of before today, that we have to justify where we spend our money, and watershed should, because every one of us in Peabody and in this district pays watershed tax on this watershed dam. Every house in Peabody does. And so, I guess maybe I'm looking at it as representing them and their tax dollars to see that we spend that money wisest way, even though this project is designed to help at some time keep water from coming through there. So I think that's the side that I have to present to the rest of the board from what, and we all can see what it's doing here, and make that decision about what kind of money we spend.
24-foot span bridge would be more than 100,000, wouldn't it?
Depending on, we had talked about before, not having a concrete deck would substantially cut down the cost, but and part of where I'm coming from is, we originally, when we first went out there, he had mentioned a 40-foot span. Then we had mentioned a 30-foot span, now we're 24-foot span. I don't know what it takes either. But the problem is that whatever we put out there, we'd have to figure out doing the proper design and study to determine what that.
I was gonna say, you'd have to have it engineered, wouldn't you?
Yes. And
That's
then,
50,000.
well, and then you turn around and the construction and, like we talked about before, is even if we put that bridge out there, if we don't, well, and obviously the other thing you determine is how much opening would be under there. I mean, if the bridge is only 4 or 5 foot off the ground compared to being 10 or 12 foot, don't know. But whatever we do to raise that road up, we don't raise the bridge up, we'd have to raise the road comparable.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the other thing that we've talked about, is if we went, we'd have to hire a contractor to do this, because if you're looking at probably several weeks to do that.
Well, you'd have to buy dirt from a neighbor too.
But you said that the spillway on your retention is lower than the road, but the dam is higher than the road.
On the upstream road,
Yes.
not the downstream road.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the confusion here. The mitigation is actually downstream, not upstream.
Right.
Upstream is where we have the water backing up,
Right.
but mitigation for credits for the structure are
It's
downstream.
down to the south.
Yes.
And then, but it's got a spillway around it, just an overflow.
Right.
Right? And that elevation is lower than the road? At
Oh, it's
80th?
higher.
It has nothing to do with the road
Well,
at
if you're
80th.
gonna back up water.
90.
You're talking.
We're up 90th.
Oh.
90, see, 90's on the top end,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on the bottom end.
I was thinking you were talking about backing it up to 80th.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Back
No.
up to 90.
90th, which is the top end in the zone. I have, well, so it went off here. I was sitting here right on the road with this picture, looking to the, I'm coming from the east, looking west. At the front of my, and I'll pass it around to the commission first. At the front of my hood, about 75 feet to 100 foot is a tube. You'll see the tube that crosses that road. And that tube is a 5-footer, 4 or 5
5, 6
footer,
foot,
pretty good sized tube across there.
That's the existing.
Existing. And then the road takes and drops 4 to 5 feet lower than that tube in that road for another 150 yards. That's what concerned of how much, what's a bridge gonna do to take care of the water, take care of the road? Is it gonna make the road dry on for that 150 foot or 150 yards that I was talking about earlier?
So
It isn't.
You're saying currently the water, most of the water doesn't necessarily go through the culvert. It goes
No,
over.
no, it don't.
It goes over.
It goes across, and then on the south side, left side of that picture, we saw 3 or 4 spots where it cuts in through the ground on the south, or the south side of that road. It cuts through that as when it's flooding. Now, 20% is all that's supposed to stop the flooding of this area. That's what concerns me. 20% is not very many percent of that big area. So, my bottom line is, if I spent that money, does anybody care to see the picture? Anybody know it? So, if anybody spends that money, I would like to see it accomplish something to the good. I mean, I want something accomplished with that money. If that 24-foot span took care of that flood area, might be we wouldn't probably be sitting here today, but it don't. Not from what I know.
Right, it's never gonna take care of the entire, you'd have to have a major bridge in there to take care of what you're talking about.
Well then,
But
what
it could improve the condition quite a bit. from what it is now.
How could you or anybody that's on that board explain to John Q. Public that we put a bridge in that don't do nothing in hot water?
We're putting the bridge in to get the credits to build a structure
That's
that does a lot of good for the entire area.
That's not what John Q. Public looks at.
But that's what we're doing it for, and that's why you have
I
to explain it
understand
to
that.
them.
I understand that, but we've got to answer to the public. And I'd like to see it, because I live on it, and that creek bank right beside my house is getting washed away by the foot every day. I mean, since I've been there 6 years, it's got 6 to 7 foot away, washed off, getting closer to my house. So I know that's through Spring Creek, not through Doyle Creek, but it's all gonna come. So,
How does this work, though? You say money is allocated through these credits?
Yes, so we've got dedicated funds to do the construction and mitigation costs for this project.
And that it would cover the 24-foot span, all of the engineering, our time and equipment, 100%.
What the district can offer, they can't reimburse counties, and legally, I'm not sure whether the district can reimburse county for work done on county roads. But what the district is offering is so many dollars per mitigation credit. And they can get reimbursed because they're spending money on mitigation credits. Whether they buy them from you, whether they buy them from a guy down the road or somebody down in southeast Kansas, it's all the same money spent. And it's doing the same thing. It's allowing the district to build this structure. What the district would like to say is, we want to give the county this money to do work in this location to improve that area in that location.
well, let me ask you this then.
Okay?
If we put together a project on 90th that guaranteed that bridge that it would never be flooded, would it be the same mitigation credits?
No.
Why?
Because the location on 90th already allows passage of organic, aquatic organisms already. There's not an overfall there, there's not an issue there with aquatic organism passage. And this comes all back to the core, the Waters of the U.S. stuff, and their requirements to be able to build watershed structures. They have put together requirements that require them to do stream mitigation. And the only place you can do that is where there's a failing stream. This location here is a failing stream because it doesn't allow fish passage or aquatic organism passage upstream and downstream of that road during low flow times.
Is this all part of the Waters of the U.S. that was passed under the Biden regime?
It's been in place for much longer than that, but the latest thing just makes them have a little more authority than they had before. We would still have done some of this, we just have to do a little more of it now than we did before.
But right now, the day that picture was taken, there is no flow. I mean, there's no aquatic fish passing, period, right now.
I understand that, but we've been in a drought.
So, okay, if this tube was taken out, and, which it appears to be, I didn't shoot the bottom of it by any means, but it's close, but after the dam is built and the water comes through, is it not going to react because the dam is north higher than this road is? What's the difference? It's going to be less flow with the dam built. It's going to be a lower flow. 80% is going to come through there, 20% lower than what the 100% is.
During flood periods.
During flood periods.
Yes.
So what, I mean, if they're worried about just getting down to the same height as the rest of that road bottom, there's other ways to do it than to spend $100,000 on a bridge. I'm not an engineer. There's an engineer, but I can put a level on it and I can see what happens. So I just want us to spend our money wisely, whether it's the state spending it, us spending it, or whoever's these credits are spending. I want us to spend it wisely. And then the biggest thing is answering to John Q. Public, we put a bridge in that goes to nowhere on a wet day. Because once it's flooding, you can't cross the bridge because of the ground behind it, unless we build the road up or something.
Well, I think you will have to build a road up. I think you have to improve that area if you put a bridge in.
So now we're talking, besides the bridge, we're talking 150 yards of bringing dirt in and building up.
But how much have you spent on that road in the last 3 or 4 years? Because I know you've spent quite a bit trying to get it passed.
I would say very little in the big scheme of things, because all we do is make it passable for people to get to their farms. I mean, other than that, after the 2019 floods, we had water 3 or 4 places across the road. We just filled them in, and we really haven't had a problem since. So that's, you know, because we go almost 2 miles before you get any kind of residence on that road.
Going west,
Yes, off of Indigo.
I don't know, back east it has no bearings because the ground goes higher until it crosses back over here on the other half a mile to the east of that road. I mean, that's the best I can explain it to my commission. Maybe, you know, I know that Bryce and I was there, but I don't know if any of the rest of them has actually personally witnessed it and seen it. And if we knew the dollars and cents, I mean, if it come down to a $20,000 figure, it might not be such a big deal, but 120 or 220 becomes a lot bigger issue than, and we're in the dark the way I feel. You're not telling me, nobody's telling me what it's going to cost.
Has there been any cost benefit analysis type work on these type of projects?
As far as mitigation projects, no. As far as the watershed dams, yes.
You know what that's going to be.
We know what those are. And again, the mitigation cost, that's going to be the limit that NRCS puts to do the cost, to make the cost benefit works. But again, if the district is going to build this, they're going to buy mitigation credits somewhere.
Right.
Whether they buy them from the county, and the county can use them to upgrade the road downstream, or whether they give them to a guy clear down in southeast Kansas that's doing the same thing. They're gonna get these credits somewhere, or try to get these credits somewhere.
Does NCRS want this project to go? Have they looked at this road and said, and have they said, okay, we see that it's going to take some building, some action to get this road passed, and a bridge that would let the water through, let the water flow, let everything do what it's supposed to do, and we would have an improved project? Have they actually seen that and know that? What I'm getting at is, what kind of value do they put on that project?
The only value they put on it is that it allows them to cost share on the structure, the flood water retarding dam. They don't really care where the district gets their credits. That's up to the local district to find those. Again, the district is the one saying, coming to the county and saying, hey, we can help you in this location because the Corps has approved it. And that's the hardest thing to do, is get the Corps to approve these kind of locations.
Okay. Well, that one happens to be real close to that project, but what if there was a road down here somewhere that fit the mitigation? On clear to this way, below
Anywhere within the district.
Anywhere within the district.
Yeah.
I'm open to looking at, if there's another road someplace that's valuable that we could have a project on, I think we would need to look at that too. That's just my personal opinion from what I see. I mean, here we're getting down to their timeline's pretty short.
Yes.
This has been quite a year project. Right. I mean, quite a long deal, so.
Well, I guess Bryce and I have looked, and I personally have looked all around. There is just very few of these type of situations available. And that's why this one is so appealing, because again, there's so much upstream area that it can connect. And it's one of the few that really is allowed by the Corps.
Well, Brian, I don't envy your position because you are in the middle and trying to educate us on, there's two separate issues here.
Mhm.
The one is the watershed project itself, which
Right.
there's no question the community commission support the watershed project. And then what you're trying to educate us on is the mitigation factors.
Mhm.
Mitigation factors have nothing to do with county roads. I mean, it has to do with water flow.
Right.
Your focus is water flow. It's
Mhm.
not on replacing bridges, building roads. And so you're trying to come up with an opportunity for the county to benefit from the watershed
Mhm.
structure. But if the county decides not to participate in replacing this, then the watershed's gonna get their mitigation credits elsewhere.
If they can. Yeah.
Right. So this is an opportunity for the commission either to participate in it or not participate in it, using the factors Commissioner Dalkey talked about. Is this an appropriate place to spend county funds for a minimum use road?
Right.
But again, the focus of the mitigation is the water flow.
Right.
And Commissioner Dalkey and Bryce have looked at other locations, but again, what benefits the county doesn't necessarily benefit the water flow.
What's the value of a credit?
On the open market, last I knew, was $45 a credit.
And how many credits would we be looking at?
This bridge project, as approved by the Corps, is 12,600 credits.
That'd be 12,600 times 45.
Yep.
Right. Well, but the problem is on the open market, they've done these kind of projects and paid for them already, and now they're selling the credits based on that cost that they have into it.
I got one other deal. When we left from that picture that's how Bryce and I drove it, was we come from the east, went west, across the bottoms, then we went to 1 mile, we went the full mile to the
Holly, then north.
and then north, yeah, Holly and then north, and up in the middle of that section of 28, between 28 and 29, you see our roadway. That is another, and that you see 9, 10, and 11 projects. If you had all those 3 projects done at some time, this road here, again, would be more important to the justification of keeping the water going through, flowing, and stuff like that, if those are finished. Even though it's not a direct impact of 11, but it is of 9 and 10 if they get a chance to finish it. Get more money to do this. Down in the bottom, there was right there where that yellow is across there was a area in there too.
There's an area, the area on the north end coming off of 90th South, there's 2 people that live on there. There, just south of both of them, there's actually a 3-ton bridge. It's very narrow as well, and then you go south of there and it floods all the way through there as well.
Okay. But that's a rock road, isn't it?
Rock road down to those entrances and then
Down
turns
to
to
the
dirt.
entrance and stop. Okay.
Now, let me just throw this out there, Brian. I mean, we're just throwing stuff around, but has anybody done a hydrology study to how much volume we would need under the bridge? I mean, we've talked about a 40 foot, we've talked about a 30 foot, we've talked about 20 foot, 24 foot, not talking off the ground. Would it be possible to put a multi-span culvert or something in there, either without a floor or a floor with 1 foot of dirt going across it? We could build that substantially cheaper than we could a bridge and still be able to build the road. But again, that's what, Commissioner Dalkey, I looked at is, we put a span bridge on this road and, but I imagine we could build a multi-span culvert for less than half. But again, we can only speculate all we want to what that drainage area is going to be and what we need to design for. So
what, I guess my question is, what would you normally design for on a bridge? I mean,
Depends on what all those factors
If
are.
it's not a RSS
Mhm.
road or whatever,
Mhm.
RAS road, isn't it just up to the county to determine what kind of?
Oh, no. Not if we're gonna use state and or federal money for it, because
Are you using state or federal money?
we don't have the money to put it, I mean, for what it would cost there, I could put that money in a lot better places, more suited. That's what we've been talking about.
I understand that, but on this particular situation, what's the minimum that you could put in there? And the minimums that the Corps needs is a 24-foot span. Does the county have any minimums that would increase that?
No, but again, I'd look at the fact is, and without any commissioner input, I'm gonna look at the fact is, I could do very, very little out there now to make it better and still keep the same size culvert, knowing that the rest of that area is gonna be flooded. But without determining, you know, and here's the other thing is where the Corps is coming up with 24-foot span.
It's because that's the size of the channel upstream,
Whether it's.
bank to bank.
Right, but,
What's the depth?
well, that's gonna vary as well, but it's probably.
4 to 5 feet. Is
Yes. So if you say, okay, 24-foot span, you know, determine what that height is, but if that where the bridge is at, then you've gotta be somewhat close to the same elevation going farther west. But if we could put in a multi-span culvert or even just a single big culvert to handle this, because the other thing is we're talking about now with dam number 11. Now, if they installed 9 and 10,
It'd be less flow.
exactly. So then now we're gonna say, well, now we put in this multi-span or a bridge or whatever else, and now, and I don't even know if what the plan is for those down the road, if it's gonna be sooner than later, but then you look at the fact is that we spent an awful lot of money for this project and they really cut down the flow.
My guess is 24 foot based on them completing their goals down the future. That's why it's not a 40.
It's based on the channel shape right now.
Yeah.
So to have unimpeded flow, you have to have that 24-foot span at the top of the channel. Everything out of channel, then that goes wherever. But whatever's in the channel goes through the bridge.
Keeps the flow going at maximum capacity until it overflows.
Right.
The other thing that we face with this one here is, as the water comes out, it's real turbulent pools, but then it goes south maybe 50, 75 feet and then takes off on almost a 90-degree angle going off to the west. So the water's going to be impeded with that too, but then we really can't go out and say, hey, we need to fix that, because now we're affecting the floodwaters of those channels again.
Anything outside of the right-of-way, the district would be required to get permits for any work outside of that.
But that would just cover your stuff. In order for me to go out and do anything, I'm gonna have to get permits as well.
Well, but aren't you gonna stay within your road right-of-way? I mean, anything that needs to be done outside of your right-of-way, the district would be responsible.
I understand that, but if I have to go put a structure in there, I'm gonna have to go out to the same permits that you guys would have to do that. And there's no way I'm gonna turn those around in 60 days either.
No, I know that.
So, but I mean, you're talking about you wanted to have this thing signed off or whatever else within 60 days.
Well, what we need is a commitment from the county that they want to proceed with this or not.
And if no, you'll go elsewhere for your credits. The project will still be built.
Well, if we can get the
If we
credits.
get the credits.
Yeah.
This was just a way to bring the credits. Okay.
And it's a big chunk of credits that we could hopefully get reasonably, so.
And so, may I ask
Go
a
ahead,
question?
please, absolutely.
So if you have mitigation credits, then the county would have, in order to benefit from that, we would have to go out and sell those, is that right?
No.
Like you do tax credits?
No,
I mean,
the
what would the
district.
purpose, what would the
Process.
benefit to the
Explain the
county?
process of how the credits would come.
So what, if it comes down to it, and I'll just send one of these around.
Okay.
For sure.
Just one page?
There's just one page. What it would amount to is that the county would agree to move ahead with this project. That would become part of the core permit application. So, the number of credits would be calculated as part of the mitigation plan. And in the end, the district has to have enough mitigation credits to offset the debits from the structure.
So the county isn't going to get any cash benefit from it, it's just
It would
doing the
just
work to
be
help the district?
whatever the district would agree to pay the county for on a per credit basis, or a total lump sum type deal for this, for you to sign this project, sign on to this project.
So you're saying that, I'm just trying to interpret all
There's
the
no set
language.
dollar amount for a
So
credit.
you're basically
It varies.
saying that the district would potentially approve payment for the work in a certain amount, based on like a dollar amount for how many credits you
Yes.
received?
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks, I was just really confused about that.
Because I don't think legally the district can reimburse the county for work on county roads. I've heard that in the past, that's kind of a no-no, so.
But is the intent then for the district to go ahead and reimburse entirely for the total cost of whatever this project they would agree, the county would agree to do?
No, it would be a set amount up front saying, okay, this is what the number of credits are, this is what the district can afford to value each credit at, yes. And that's kind of be based on how much the other credits cost them and what our total budget is. So right now, we're looking at that limit of, I'm gonna just throw some numbers out there, and 120 to 150,000, probably the top end. So that would be kind of your budget to say, can we do this project within that? If it goes under it, we don't care, the district doesn't care, because we're gonna pay you whatever we agreed to up front. If it goes slightly over that, if you could, find your way to help out the district on that, that would be great.
Just to clarify, you're saying that wouldn't be a cash payment to the county, that would just be in reimbursements? Is that what you're saying? If I go out there and spend all that money, we would not get a check or whatever else from anybody to cover that amount, it would just be in credits?
No, it would be a cash payment.
Okay.
But it's based upon mitigation credits,
Right.
not a direct payment.
Right.
That
Right,
means-
not a
right.
reimbursement of work
Right.
that you've
Yeah,
done,
we
because
would have an
that's.
issue with that.
Yeah, there's an issue with that, but I believe we can say, these are the number of credits out there, and this is what we're offering you per
Yeah,
credit.
I agree with that.
So a good portion of the amount that the county would spend would potentially be reimbursed, not really reimbursed,
But
but
it's still
recovered.
it's still kind of a shot in the dark, because what if we have to go out there and build that road up? How far?
We saw, driving down to the west from that picture, we saw brush up 2 to 3 feet, maybe a little higher on that roadway, but yet that roadway is closer to the bottom of the flow line of the culvert going through. So I don't know, we didn't have no level, we didn't have nothing to look at. It's just that whole next 150 yards after the culvert is lower and across, and then it goes across that part of the road and then washes through the field to the south. And so you know that that's gonna have to be built up 5 to 6 foot, I would say, at least, to get that road passable across there.
I guess, just play devil's advocate, why, could the county just put in the structure and then leave the rest of the road lower? The focus of the mitigation is simply the waterfront.
Yeah.
But then we're going to deal with John Q. Public, so why didn't you raise the road up while you did that? Because the bridge.
The issue is just what the public thinks.
Well, I'm just,
I mean,
that's why
I played devil's advocate.
we've got the same thing on 130th going through there. The structure's not big enough, the road's real low, but again, there's.
Well, what happens if the road's closed?
Yeah, does it need a structure at all?
Doesn't need structure at all?
Close the road and open
Open it up.
the channel.
I think the Corps would buy off on that, as long as you allow passage there. There might have to be a little bit of work, because of the grade
Right.
upstream and
It
downstream.
has to meet the definition of the water flow.
Then John Q. Public sitting over here that has to
No
use
longer
that
has a
road.
road.
The other option that was thrown out there, and I didn't know if the county wanted to look at it, but, a permanent low water crossing there could be done in.
Well,
I mean, engineered properly, they allow the flow to go there. It's just whether you want flow on a road 100% of the time that people travel.
Bryce, what are your thoughts on the water crossing?
Low water crossing gets the water through there, but it's still gonna put water back out on the roadway,
Right.
but we have done that all over the county. We have had low water crossings put in
Right.
all over for passageway, but when flood comes, you know that it's flood. I mean, I'm not against that.
It's a dirt road.
Yes.
You have to do a lot of work to fix them after they've flooded.
Yeah.
They have to be built right. Even built right, they're still, But to get the mitigation credits, that would be a lower cost structure.
Yeah, I don't know how much traffic, how many landowners need to use that road.
Right.
All the landowners could access from the west side. I don't know of anything from that culvert east till you got out of that bottom ground. There's a waterway coming down from the northwest that has kind of been silted in at the bottom. But as long as we provided access to those fields on the north, that would be the big issue there.
Right here's the land.
Right there for a landowner, yeah.
And,
I would disagree with that, because going from our place to our west corner and on down Holly, we can't get big equipment down that road.
coming from
Coming from 70th.
70th,
Yeah, from 70th back to 80th and then back east.
back east.
I'd be perfectly happy with a low water crossing. I wouldn't care. I mean, that creek doesn't run much. When we would be going to the field, drive through a few inches of water wouldn't bother me a bit.
So you'd be, instead of going 70th up Holly, you'd take 70th over to Indigo and come around that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's, like I said, I would think John Q. Public would understand what we're doing better than putting a bridge in. I just, unless you do the whole road and spend it that way, you got two options. But we have done low water, I don't know what all it takes, Bryce, I've seen them, I know they was put in the 60s, some of them, because I saw them put in, we just drove over one went to 70th Remington, that one was put in.
And a lot of water goes through there.
Yeah, the cottonwood, or the Doyle goes right through, that is on the Doyle, and, okay.
I've seen that
That's it.
level crossed at times.
Yes, oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
sure, absolutely, yeah.
In water, so.
So
But-
the amount of mitigation credits that you would potentially be able to satisfy with a low water crossing is probably less than with a bridge, or do you know?
I'm gonna say it's probably equal, because as long as you have open flow and continuous flow with, at low water times,
You're meeting the purpose of the mitigation.
meeting the purpose of the mitigation. We'd have to run it by the Corps to make sure, because it's a little bit different than what we've been talking about.
Right.
But yeah.
But this compromise for the road use, the structure of the road, it would be a much more efficient use of dollars. I think it addresses Commissioner Dalkey's issues. I think it'll address the landowners' issues with a low water crossing.
That's strictly up to him right there.
Right.
You know, what would happen, I mean.
Right.
What, my other concern would be, what would it do to your land if a low water crossing was put in there on the south side? Water comes across.
I don't think it.
Change anything?
I mean, just thinking here, haven't seen that many, but just, so it doesn't overflow on the downhill side and wash out. you know, just keep things low enough and, you know, so it stays stable.
And it would have to be engineered. I mean, you'd have to put a rock base and dig some out. I mean, it wouldn't be just move the culvert out and call it a real low water crossing.
No.
I mean, a year ago, it was a low water crossing, because there was about half the water running through the culvert, the other half was running over the road.
Bryce, what are your thoughts on a low water crossing?
You know, I mean, the only thing that I could see, coming down the hill, we've probably got some steeper approaches going into that, but we're probably gonna have to, I guess anyway, look at it, if you wanna keep the water in the channel as much as possible, we're still gonna have to raise the road up some.
But not as much as if it was a
Well,
bridge structure.
if you go in with this bridge, whatever that height that you establish there kind of establishes.
Yes.
Now, you always want the water design aspect, engineering, you always want the water running around a bridge and not over it. It's easier to fix the road than it is to fix the bridge.
Right.
So, if we were to go in there and raise the road up, you know, I mean, even a little bit, it's gonna help more than that. The biggest problem is we've got all the way from that waterway coming in from the north, the northwest, we've got to make sure that all that water gets down to either the low water crossing or the culvert or the bridge or whatever else is. That's the biggest problem we face now, because, you know, in 2019, we just had water running everywhere down there, and that was because it was just too low. So, but again, you know, it brings up the fact is that we'll have to contract out all of it again. You know, so it's gonna be a substantial.
But still significant less than a 24-foot.
Well, I would say, yeah. You know, plus, the thing that's nice about a low water crossing is we have more local people that can do it.
Yes.
Because it's basically just a concrete slab, but it's built down low.
Yes.
Usually with a tube through it, right?
You can do them either way.
Either way?
Yeah.
Okay, the one down at.
The problem with putting the tubes in
70
below them is they plug up, and
Yep.
then you
Yep.
end up with trouble as
Yeah.
well.
Yep. That happens.
You probably couldn't do a tube one and get the mitigation credits. It would have to be a full
Okay.
low water crossing,
Yeah.
thing with no.
Right.
So the grade of the crossing would be below or
The water.
channel below
Channel.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, that's the
to
focus
get
of the
to get the
mitigation.
mitigation credits.
Right. I guess what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing a consensus moving toward investigating a low water crossing. If you could do that, am I, any objection to that?
I see that more feasible to the public, feasible to the county if we're gonna get into it. And if, you know, if it comes in at 120,000 credit, you promise 120,000, we spend 20,000. I don't know what we do with 100 to help the road.
I think you're being a little optimistic.
Well, I'm just saying.
You can always hope.
Yeah.
Don't look at it as a moneymaker.
Oh, okay.
No, let's just look at it, not going backwards.
Never is.
But
You could
I
actually
just-
look at letting them keep it to improve some of the other
roads.
the other ones that need to do, the 10, the 9, and then that would lower the flow coming across that low water crossing.
Oh, yeah, it would.
Yeah, it would all
What's-
wrap back
that's-
in.
See, seeing this today helps from what your vision of one
Yes.
dam.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I know what your vision is, and I can see that, but from what Bryce and I was looking at, one dam, and knowing that, yeah, is this other waterway coming from the north and east, then now you're looking at the others too across the other road. So, yeah, and if, I don't know what kind of cost we're looking at, Bryce, but.
Well, that's hopefully over the next week, we gather some information that Bryce can bring back to us. You check with the Corps, work with Bryce.
Okay.
And hopefully we can
60 to
have the
80,000.
credits come majority from Marion County and not have to go out on the market and buy
Okay.
those mitigation credits.
All right, that sounds good. Glad everybody being in. Hopefully we talk to you a little bit or explain a little bit better on some of these things, because I know it's something I've been involved with for so long. I take some of it for granted when I start talking about it. And, so, I guess, do you want to introduce the two board members that are landowners as well?
Yes, would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Louis Unruh. My family owns the south side of 80th.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, so it would,
How many years you been on the board?
Lifetime.
I might make 2 comments maybe. I'd maybe clarify again the elevations on 90th, because I don't think that's gonna be an issue, but from what I've seen. But we have a watershed dam right south of 70th and Holly, right on the county line, right into Harvey County. That dam has run over the emergency spillway twice, I think, since mid-80s, and like 6 inches or less. And so that doesn't happen very often. And so if you get such a big rain that 90th is underwater a little bit, nobody's gonna be able to get there to see that. Because all the other roads are gonna be flooded so bad you can't get there. Maybe I won't comment on the mitigation thing, because that's a personal thing, but me and Brian and you guys, there's nothing we can do about that, but just what I see on our watershed dam, what was there before the dam, and at that time they didn't have to do mitigation stuff, versus what was created by having that body of water there and all the stuff that comes with that. They don't give credits for that, and I don't understand that.
I think the one you're talking about is probably gonna be twice the size of this one, or is twice the size of this project, isn't it?
The one that's
body
on-
of water is.
The one that's on ours?
The one that's on south of 70th.
Yeah.
It is a big one.
That's partially because of the way
The mitigation stuff.
The mitigation, we lowered the principal spillway so that the pool isn't as big, so we don't cover up as much stream.
Okay.
But I think it would be similar.
Yeah, similar in size.
Similar size, maybe.
Oh, okay.
If it, all things being equal from 25 years ago.
Things have changed since then, very true.
Jim?
And I've been on the board for 4 or 5 years now. So I took my dad's spot on the board and he got on. So I'm learning a lot. So I want to read. And I learned quite a bit today. So as a layman, it's not a property a farmer or anything like that. You know that there's a lot of acronyms they come up with that I go, what?
Yeah.
So I got to look everything up. So.
And that's why we as a board appreciate Brian,
Yes.
because he's in that business and we are volunteers that meet once every month or two, you know, to keep track of all the proper procedures and all the ins and outs of things. It would be very difficult for us as volunteers.
Absolutely. Well, again, we appreciate your service on the watershed district. And Brian, thank you for working us through things that we never knew.
Yeah. Well, appreciate the invite to come down and talk to you about it. 'Cause I think
Yes, you clarified a lot of issues. And again, I don't envy your position because you're carrying the message.
Yeah.
And you have to enforce what's sent down from above. And it doesn't always make common sense.
Right.
But I think you got us to a spot that maybe we can make this work.
Okay,
'Cause
sounds
we
good.
definitely want to support the project.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Bryce will pick up where Brad just walked in. We were talking about the fence issue. And what's the best approach to get the fence in the right place? Should it be a survey? Should it be a measurement from the existing fence? Should it be a measurement from the main road? If we do ask for a survey, and we would intend for the landowner to pay for it, should the county go ahead and do it? I'm trying to throw as many
I just
questions
like
at
to see the smirk on his face,
one
so,
time.
yeah.
Or could the county go ahead and order it and then have him pay for it? And if we have him do it, how do we see that it gets done? So that's now in your lap.
Or is it best to suggest a survey, and if they don't do it, then they get found on it later on down the road, it's on them to move it, because they didn't get the survey.
Kind of where I was headed. The proper placement falls to the landowner, generally speaking. And so in most instances, you're always, when you get your title insurance, they're always going to caution you that you want to make sure that's surveyed and pinned properly so you know right where it is. And if there are any disputes. Not something that we necessarily establish unless we came in and thought that they were encroaching on public right of way in some fashion. So if, as a starting point, we just want to say, put it where it's supposed to be, and it's just kind of dropping back to the 40 and punting, that tends to be our best approach to it. If it's in, you know, if it's off, if one side of it isn't public property, then we don't care. Then it's generally, you know, the property owners figure it out. If you guys decide, well, it's good right there, then that's what they live with generally, although I usually advise them to put that in writing.
Okay, thank you.
But that's between them, and again, it's the same answer. If you guys want to be real sure, get it surveyed.
There's a fence law for that.
Yeah.
As long as I maintain it, then all of a sudden possession's 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, well, the adverse possession kicks in. But it doesn't necessarily
More
work.
about this than I
Yeah,
ever want.
it doesn't work the same way necessarily with public property because you don't necessarily get it that way. So that's probably as a practical approach, that's where I'd start. And then if they have some, I would suggest they do a survey. Just if they're going to be putting in new fence along there, there's been nothing there before.
The first half mile from 70th and Remington was no fence, electric fence. But wasn't there a solid fence down there?
There was a solid fence across from the side.
From the side going on west?
To the north?
North side, west side, going west.
Yeah, a little ways.
Yes.
Each way. There was a piece of property that was bought with the fence on it.
Yes, yes.
So it had a fence.
So the crop field had a fence.
Yeah.
Pasture did not.
Yes, correct, yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering, if that's a reasonable point. I don't know how far that was from Center Road.
If I was worried about having to move my fence, I would get a survey.
I agree, yeah. I mean, just same thing with a lot in town. If you want to know where it's at, you get a survey.
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm gonna make that investment, I'd get the survey.
Now,
Over the years, those roads and everything has changed.
It's all shifted.
See how it's very accurate.
Now, with that being said, that would be, what I was saying before was, we had that established fence line down there. You establish the established fence line up on 70th and Remington, put a point between the two. That's your line. Or I mean, you run a, but again, that's not gonna, that may or may
It
not.
doesn't guarantee anything.
Exactly.
But that's on the landowner. If they
Well,
want to guarantee, they get a
And-
survey.
And I guess, you know, if you're gonna guarantee it, is that ever gonna be questioned down the road? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if somebody else buys the land, so I'm gonna go out and survey it, and it's wrong, then.
It's being questioned with no fence there, so it could be questioned with a fence there too. Because there's gonna be more landowners, I think, than with these big deals, big companies.
And part of the issue, Brian, is Bryce went out with the fence builder and look at it. They would like to redo the road first before they do the fence. So
do we
now
need
the
that
question
survey?
is that's why the question is.
So I'm a fence builder. I wouldn't build it unless I had a survey.
And then I believe that's part of the pressure that Bryce is getting.
I don't know, if I was a fence builder, I'd make them sign a waiver saying they had true, clear boundaries of their location.
Ask the attorney.
So your recommendation?
Survey. They ought to go ahead and just get it done. They can always look at alternatives in terms of how it's paid for, but I would start from the premise that it's theirs.
So
Their fence, their property.
So based on, I don't know for sure, it was just in the meeting minutes, is that you guys had requested a survey?
Actually, it's not in the
It's not,
minutes.
okay, I was thinking it was.
No, it was in the paper. It was not in the minutes.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that's.
Because I just looked at the.
You did, okay.
It was discussed, and the consensus was.
Okay.
The consensus of the board was to ask for a survey.
Okay, so
So
I
it
guess
was-
my,
wasn't-
okay, but my question is that something that you guys wanna go back with as a commission, or do you want me to go back with Road and Bridge to require that? Next step.
You happen to have something already written, don't you?
Okay.
I don't have the survey in.
Yeah, I was looking all before. It gave the 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah,
We talked
everything
about-
is there.
But it
the
has
survey-
nothing to address the survey.
Okay, so anyway, at least he's got something started, then I just.
Yeah, it's basically all ready to go. I followed the minutes because those are done by your esteemed county
Yes.
clerk, and
Yes.
she doesn't make mistakes with that
That's
stuff.
right.
But they did not take any action at the fencing.
That's
It was-
exactly
No
right.
action.
It was
Okay.
just discussion.
And that's, you know, part of the, I guess, the,
And that's why I was hesitant to give Brad too much direction, because
yeah,
things change.
okay. So, he's got something that works in.
So we can always put a sentence in there that
Yeah.
prior to construction, a survey must be
Mhm.
filed with the registry of deeds.
Mhm. Yeah, I can actually interlineate it right now.
You can what?
Computer. Interlineate, it's very much like an engineering term.
Wow.
Never heard of that.
Okay,
That's why it's the big one.
yes, okay.
Okay, so I'm getting a consensus from the board to have Brad insert that in a resolution, which we will then approve.
Aye.
Okay. Or do you want to go ahead and take action on the resolution and resolve that issue right now?
Subject to survey.
So what do we do about road rebuild? Road rebuild, do we wait on their survey?
Yep.
To build our road?
Yep.
Well-
They gotta have it to their fence.
Well, we don't necessarily go up to their fence, cause they're down there today working on, all we're doing is working on drainage and crown the road. We're not going to cut out to where their fence is.
What? Whatever.
Yeah, 'cause that's, when we do a road rebuild, we hardly ever go out to where that
Correct,
point is,
correct.
because of that
Correct.
possible discrepancy.
Yeah.
But that road needs drainage, especially the ditches on the north side.
There's a lot of discrepancies on those roads down
Yeah,
here.
Talk about power lines.
yeah.
Talk Ken about losing the whole alignment of his vehicle.
Rack and pinion.
Really? Well,
Took her out.
All right, let's bring it back. Do we want to address the fence resolution at this point?
Well, if the fence resolution to the landowner and it's got, that we require a survey for them to put their fence up,
Well,
Is there a survey in
the
it?
resolution needs to suggest a survey under that clause that gives them the extra 6 months. Otherwise, they have no need for the extra 6 months. Because this extra 6 months was put in there because surveyors are quite busy and sometimes
Right.
it's
Yeah.
hard to get them. And
Mhm.
so it needs to be included in there in order for that verbiage about 6 months. Otherwise, let's get going.
Yeah.
Move.
So I think what, I can edit the resolution
Yes.
before you adopt it. That way you can have a fresh printout to look at and read.
Well, we have the interlaced or
Yeah, I-
Interlineate.
interlineated, the
Yes.
interlineating will take place.
Yeah, that thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't mess this up.
But we have the general consensus of a direction on it.
Okay.
And you understand where we're going?
Yes, gotcha.
All right, all right, next.
I have a agreement for the commission to sign. This is the cancellation of agreement for the off-system bridge project. It's just a formal letter from Kate. Everybody needs to sign it. I don't know if you want to read it first, but.
On where? What part?
This is for the project that we're closing Eagle from 2/20 to 2/30. This is just a formal letter going back to Kate out there this being.
And we've already taken that action.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of signing.
Yeah.
How far out are we on the republication?
It's
The new
scheduled.
hearing is scheduled for May 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
At
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yeah.
There it is.
I just got, was it in this last week's paper?
I don't remember exactly
Yeah.
which 2 weeks it's gonna publish, but it was, I think it was last week and either the week before or next week. I can't remember. Okay.
Need me 2 extra lines for you. They send out that standard form and it has 3 lines on it.
I want to be sure I have a copy of that.
Yeah.
Coming back to you. You gotta sign it before it's good.
She has to
Brad.
attest it.
Attest it.
Attest it.
If it gets lost, it's on Brad's.
I'll make sure it stays here.
All right,
Okay.
next.
I didn't have anything else other than an executive session, so, just.
One quick thing, sir.
Okay.
Where were we out on Rock to a business, just the entrance of a business, off the county road? Would we supply any rock for that?
I don't believe any businesses have ever been brought up, because we brought up that issue when it came to the egg farms.
Yes.
So I don't know, but I mean, we would typically keep rock there as, you know, as a normal road, but nothing particular for business.
This is
that I
just
know.
an entrance off of the county road to a business that's in the county, not in the city.
Right,
Oh, we wouldn't do anything in the city, is that?
yeah. I mean, we would just go up to where the entrance is, and typically the entrance going into their business is.
Well, yeah, but the entrance,
Talking about more
you're
like.
talking about going across the ditch, you know, there's a culvert under there.
Right.
And that's where the issue is.
Okay.
And so they said, do we have to pay for that, or can the county help with that?
I guess I didn't realize. Tell me where it's at and we'll go look at it.
Yeah.
KDOT,
Huh?
same as KDOT does to us.
Yeah.
Just pave it straight and they
Yeah.
never take care of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just right off the road.
yeah.
Is it culvert bad or something?
I don't think the culvert's bad, I just think that it's,
Got a lot
the
of
heavy
traffic.
equipment has water. It started a water,
And-
and now it's,
and water
if it gets
system.
water, it's just a solid pond all the way across.
Yeah, yeah. That happens a lot with a lot of traffic, so.
Afterwards.
Yeah,
ask for
just
Jimmy.
have- whatever.
have somebody to look at it and
Yep.
see what you think.
Yeah, just let me know. So, okay,
Anything else?
nope.
The lake, had several comments
Oh,
about
yeah.
the lake roads,
Lake Road,
the
okay.
riprap.
Yeah,
Very
we've-
nice job.
We've got some, we're gonna have to replace a culvert way towards the east side. We have dug back in past the edge of the asphalt and haven't found the culvert yet. So, we're gonna have to dig the whole thing out, put a whole new culvert in, so. Because I mean, I'd love to try to tie onto it, but it gets to be a safety factor now if you're going in underneath the pavement, trying to put a band on things, and so we'll just tear it out, put a new one in.
Got a lot of good comments.
Yep.
Doing good work.
Yeah. It's, little by little, takes a little time to work on all that stuff, but like even the guy said, man, those pipes have been buried, and, you know, so I mean, it'll make a world of difference if it
Right.
rains.
Yeah.
There, up there on top, by Meyerhoff's entrance, down this summer, we'll probably replace a culvert going across the road there. All that drainage on the west side up there comes down with two culverts. It has a concrete head wall there, and the water comes this way, and then has to make a 90-degree for probably 50 feet, and then try to go through one smaller tube going this way. So I've been told numerous times that the water just goes straight across the road there, so we gotta try to figure out something to fix that. But I didn't really wanna do that till it was good and warm for the pavement wise, so. Hot
Off the press.
Anyway, it's appreciated out
Yep,
there.
we're working on that. Okay. I guess we're probably 10 minutes, personnel.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have anything else?
I move we recess the executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, personnel matters and non-elected personnel performance with the commission, Bryce,
Yeah.
Brad, and Tina.
Yep.
For 10 minutes from 3:21 to 3:31 with open session to resume back in this room following the closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 3:31. At least we'll get more warm paper.
Yeah, you know,
I'm not gonna print it all off for
Okay.
everyone. There was just
This
on the,
conference will now be
tell us when
recorded.
to strike.
and filed, those two words are gonna be taken out on the
Okay.
first part.
All right, we are out of executive session. No action taken.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's enough.
I forgot, I did respond back to KDOT on the HRRR bridge that we talked about last week.
Yes.
I have not, was that 2 weeks ago? I have not heard back from them.
Okay.
So, just let you know I did forward that.
Very good.
So,
All right, thank you, Bryce.
Thanks.
I do have a question for
Oh.
our esteemed engineer.
Oh.
In terms of the weekly, for the bridge, in terms of the rehab, any of that, have we done anything on it?
You've been here a little time, we talked about it already.
Okay, well, I just want to be sure, because we've got the file number, I don't know if I've given that to you, but
No.
they've not asked for the itemization yet, but I just want to be sure it was available if they did.
Yes, we finished up everything, this last week.
Okay.
So I will hopefully by the end of the week get all that round up and get it back to you.
Yeah, if you would, please, I'll just send it on to them then.
Yeah.
Because I think periodic reimbursement is probably something they'll consider.
Brad, I thank you. I did notice that the engineer sat down and very well listened, attended you, so.
He doesn't do that all the time, and nor would I expect him to.
Thank you, Bryce.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's on. It's on.
Yeah, wait till next time. All right, are we back to the fence resolution?
Yes.
Okay, commission has a hard copy.
Well, Tina's changing that just for everyone's benefit.
Right.
I listed all three of the individuals that addressed the commission in terms of their concern. I did not necessarily, I referenced the neighboring landowner as opposed to any kind of a specific reference there. And then throughout, just recited what we did on that day, because generally if I'd done it, I can do them separately where the resolution for setting the fence viewing is done separate from the findings. This was just more readily and more convenient to do it this way, where all the requests are noted, the dates are noted, the continuation of the date based upon inclement weather is noted, and then your action in the subsequent meeting that day after the viewing is all in place. What we have done, consistent with what you discussed, is noted that there was immediate remedial action already being undertaken, or at least contemplated, and then we're giving 6 months as a result to accomplish all of that. We now have in there that the survey is to be completed, filed in record as well. And then specifically in order to track this, I talked with the chair about the potential for this, and I do recommend it. It really amounts to 5 weeks from today, so we got well past 30 days. That it'd be placed back on the agenda for review to see if things are progressing, if we're continuing to get anywhere, and or if it just died away again, so that you have some idea what's transpiring.
This will be the one, because that has extra words in it.
Go 3-10.
But where does it actually say that the remediation to start? I know it shows the extra 6 months.
The very first.
Now therefore be it further resolved, property owner upon whom the duty to remedy the observed deficiencies had undertaken initial remedial measures, having retained a contractor to effect repairs and construction of adequate fences. Okay? And your next one sets your 6 months, and then the final one references a review on June the 5th of 2023.
Okay.
So there is a request for immediate.
And do we have to file this resolution with the Register of Deeds?
I'm gonna say yes,
Okay.
because I want this tracked since it's a fence viewing.
Well, I think it said something about that
In the statute.
Got a feeling there'll be more of these.
Yeah, I think our findings don't always have to be, although I find that interesting, but the fact that we did a fence viewing, because we ever wanted to charge that whopping.
Well, I thought it was that what you are ordering them to do is on file.
Yeah, and I want it to be.
Okay, commission has had a chance to review and discuss the resolution. I therefore move adoption of resolution 03-10, resolution ordering and confirming a fence viewing with findings of Marion County Commission. Is there a second?
03-10?
Yes.
It's 2023-10.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
23-10.
Yeah.
That's lost 20 years.
Yeah.
I heard it, so when you said 20, I said second.
Okay, so we do have a second? After I corrected it, thank you. Okay, a second by Commissioner Garing. Discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Brad, for your work on that.
He brought up the previous resolution, it was 04-20, it's stuck in my head, is that?
Okay. That didn't sound right. Gotta have you.
Tell you, I gotta keep you on your toes. I did it on purpose. Yeah.
Tina wrote it in there, so you.
Oh, I think there's a conniver over there. Gotta watch him, Kent, you listen to the tiger over there.
So then how do we follow up with that landowner?
I was gonna suggest sending a copy of the finalized resolution after it's executed. And I can go ahead and send her a letter as well.
How about you send a resolution with it?
That's my point.
Okay. Tina does that.
Yeah, I don't see any reason I can do it.
Okay, so you're gonna draft a letter to the landowner that's being required to build and send in the survey?
I'll just reiterate what's in here, in case he doesn't choose to read this. So this is what was approved to record.
Yeah, make us the yeas and nays, this. You gotta be certified, so they don't get picked up. We'll hand deliver.
Send it regular.
All right, what do you have for us next?
Updates on several other things.
Okay.
Met with our EMS director on Friday at length. We went back through the entire agreement that I distributed to you. I notified council for the hospital. We were proceeding with some additional revisions. I asked Kurt for some specific citations and a few things in there where I had lines that he's providing. He did not think realistically he would get to it till today, so I don't have anything to bring back to you today, but I would anticipate having it in final form next Monday.
Okay, very good. We'll have it on the agenda next.
And delivery was accomplished in terms of personal service on our gentleman with the nuisance property. I've not heard anything else since then unless the commissioners has or anyone else. I just was gonna calendar it for a week from today and then attempt to make contact again. Keep it rolling along.
Very good.
Then as to our, I'll do that in one second, the suggested potential resolution on the other litigation involving Mr. Buller. That's been reviewed. He had a couple of very, what we would refer to as minor changes to it. I had hoped that I would have them by this morning because I kind of stressed it would sure be handy to have it here. And I sent an email or a text this morning about 5:30 to Andrew Holder, and he did get back with me pretty early and reiterated all of that, and that he thought it was probably likely completable. But he will let me know if he got it before the meeting this afternoon. I didn't hear anything from him. I asked about scheduling. They had moved off the trial. And I did not get from him what they've done in terms of how they moved that or what the rescheduling is. But I let Sharon know because she talked to me on Friday and was still concerned about what am I supposed to be doing this week or how do I arrange for this, and I don't blame her. So I let her know that that was resolved for the moment. She didn't have to, she could arrange her week accordingly. So.
They didn't come to my front door with papers, so I figured I was okay.
Wish I hadn't been home either.
Well, that's,
I think the determination was that it was pretty much in order and it would work. So they didn't feel the necessity to hold that time.
So, got another 2 hours, we could probably stay here.
We
What
just
would you
keep right
like
on
to
going.
tackle?
Yeah, I didn't, that was pretty much what I did
Oh,
for the
okay.
day.
So how are we doing on the excess vehicles in our rental property out to Lake? You know, getting rid of the.
I went ahead and drew the types of what I'm gonna call resolutions that will allow us to go ahead and mitigate that. I have not gone over them with Isaac. It took me a little bit of time to draw on that in a way that I thought was going to work. It's a little more complex.
It is to season.
Yeah, and if you had driven out there, there's a lot more that need to be addressed than just a few of those things. We've got got junk piled up, we've got things with wheels under it, we have vehicles, we have some property issues. I haven't talked to Sharon about a couple of those. I need to ask her if she's planning on noticing them. But by the time I got through driving around, it's a pretty good list.
We can't sell that the same the way they would sell a storage unit.
Kind of, yeah. It's I learned a lot in this process in terms of what a county can do versus what city does. But we do have the capacity to do that
Have an auction.
Yeah,
You
very much
stand
like
back
our
50 feet and say that's what you're bidding on.
Yeah, very much like the sheriffs, you know, when they've got the excess property or seized property, same thing. They have a certain amount of time to reclaim it. Once it's removed, pay all the costs of removal. And if they don't, then we sew it off.
Can we sell them where they sit right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As is, whereas you all.
What we end up doing to do that, I was wondering the same thing, is we assert control by marking it, you know, with police tape or whatever, that this has all been seized property to be removed on or before a certain date, and if not, county reserves the right to dispose of it.
But it works for vehicles, but it doesn't work for
First part does too.
land.
Like true real estate?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. We go through a little different process, very much like our.
Did it at the courthouse steps.
Well, I was just wondering, because, you know, some of these things go nowhere, like old property, 120th, that now you died, and who's gonna hold anybody accountable to clean that
Danny
one?
King.
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs downhill to us.
All right, so how do you acquire the property to begin to clean it up, to recomp your?
Part of the same learning curve. We go ahead and open the estate. County does it as an interested party. And it defaults to us because there isn't any, you know, you go all the way back to Adam and Eve and can't find an heir who doesn't want it anyway, even if they do get it in most cases. Then it sheets.
But somebody's still paying the property tax.
Yeah, that's the problem. In those cases, though, at least you have someone to notice of. You know, if someone pays it, and if they don't, it's ours.
Well, I mean, if they pay the property tax, but they don't ever clean it up.
They'll never come up. They'll never come up.
They'll never clean it.
Yeah.
So then.
Then that's the same
Then how do
thing.
you?
That's the same
seize
thing
the
we're talking
property?
about.
But you add it on to the taxes.
Right.
Yeah, wouldn't you just?
You're still doing the
send them-
nuisance, just like these others at the lake.
Yeah. And if they don't clean it by a certain time, I think we could clean it up and charge
That's
them.
correct. That's what I was referring to earlier. Seize what's there and we can dispose of it, or just take it to the dump if it's completely not marketable. I mean, if you've got, you know, excess metal and stuff, there's some value there, but you will have things there that nobody's gonna want. You don't even wanna mess with it. The ones that I have the greatest concern, and I don't have an answer for yet, although we just dealt with it in another city, so I asked her, is what if we have property there that is in some way, shape, or form chemical and hazardous in nature? I saw a few things and I had some concerns. Some of those tanks. So I called Seth Medley with Brownfields Grants with KDHE, and they gave me the instructions on what we in the county will do with that if that's the case. And there are funds to assist to a limited extent. It's kind of a large-scale effort, especially with as much as we're looking at across the county. It may be this board's decision as a policy matter, how far you want to go. But the process will establish.
Found one very interesting within the last 6 months, you know, that what you just described, that if they pay the taxes and it never comes up, this person was paying the taxes, but they're gone. So another interested party wants to know if they own it or not. Come find out, research it right over here, found a health deal on the original owner, the last recorded owner, of $122,000 for health issues against this $5,000 property. And so that's very interesting to find that it was on there, but it would never come up until the taxes aren't paid. And that may still happen, because I don't know if people come in and pay tax. If they pay the taxes on that place, it'll never come up. you know, somebody could squat there. You know, it's just recently, that was very interesting.
But I mean, it's not a nuisance like.
Not yet,
that property.
not yet, not yet. Yeah, not a nuisance, no, that's.
So you got, yeah, so there you got nothing.
Yeah.
Unless there are certain categories they've rewritten the statute somewhat, still not perfect, to allow for foreclosure of those liens as well, depending on the type of lien it is. If it has the potential, it appears, of what they were looking at, to degenerate. If you've got a health-related issue, something that could percolate into the ground, end up in your aquifer or any kind of water table, then they will allow for that to be foreclosed.
But how would it be if, so you're saying either a nursing home or a hospital or something has seized the asset, basically?
The state has filed this on
They
this.
have a lien or something.
Yeah, state has filed a lien.
So then that turns into a mess. You can county try to foreclose on something and then, wait, that's our property. Say, they owed us
State
money.
would give it up then.
I don't think they would, I think they just forgive it or turn it over to us.
Okay, anything else?
No, unless you have other questions.
If not, commission comments?
I forgot to bring a product in. I actually have one underneath here.
Well, we don't need to see that.
No, that
Moving on.
local apparel company that I get all my shirts from. I found stuff that they do at the far corners of the state. I don't know how far nationally they go, but it's another big company in small town Marion, Kansas. So.
You can do an update on SCAD next week again if you want.
Well, I covered most of it.
Sorry to cut you off earlier now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think I got through the majority of it. If I come up with any more highlights, I'll.
Solid waste is pretty uneventful.
We'll put that off till next week.
There's nothing. The approved plan, and that's it.
All right, I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second, Commissioner Waring. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned. Learn more about litigation credits.